Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here to break down everything that happened across Raw and SmackDown over the last week, as WWE is still just under 3 weeks away from Elimination Chamber, the final premium live event, of course, before WrestleMania 42. We have an absolute ton to cover on this episode of the show, so we are legitimately not wasting any time off the top. Allow the Silver King to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about Defy.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King, for Vintage, and the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. We hit a ton of reviews on Apple Podcasts, and I appreciate all of you for leaving them. But it has been about 2 months since we've received one, and we want to read the reviews here live on the show. So please head over to Apple, take a couple minutes, take a couple seconds, leave a 5-star written review, and you will get your name and your comments read right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show on YouTube. When you subscribe there, you can listen to the podcast and you can watch full-length video interviews that we conduct across the board. You can find us at Getting Overcast. Vintage, the Super Bowl is officially in the books, which means football season in totality is over, even though the NFL technically never ends. I have felt the weight already lift off my shoulders. I know you already had that happen a couple weeks ago with the national championship concluding, but I feel like I am now fully invested in not just the road to WrestleMania, but wrestling in totality. And it's not splitting as much of my headspace, let's say, as it had been over the prior 4 to 5 months. That to me is the exact zone that I want to be in these final few months before the biggest show of the year.
The zone I want to be in is the gold zone. As we're recording, I'm watching the gold medal curling going on right now. But you know what the biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl was? It was late. Did you notice what kind of Gatorade was poured on Mike McDonald, the Seattle Seahawks head coach?
So I did, kind of. It looked like it was yellow, the color.
It was yellow Gatorade,
but
the best.
It did not.
Long-time listeners of the show remember the yellow Gatorade topic.
Excuse me. It looked like it was yellow. It did not look like it was lemon lime. That's the key that needs to be pointed out here.
What does that even mean? There's only one yellow Gatorade.
I know what lemon lime Gatorade looks like, and that did not look like that color. So that, to me, was some yellow concoction that they put in there. I don't believe it was lemon lime flavored, is what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yellow Gatorade. It's what it is known to the world forever and above.
Not true.
Also, the other thing I took away from the Super Bowl and the Olympics is that we have Super Bowl LX and we have Winter Olympics. I think it's like XXV or something like that. I hate that WrestleMania doesn't have the Roman numerals. Like
it's horrible.
Wish Triple H would have brought those back.
Yeah, it's really stupid to go away from it. And it's okay if you want to call it by the Arabic number, if you want to say 42, or you want to show it that way on occasion. That's okay. But the logo, at least at a minimum, should have the Roman numerals. Now, they're foregoing the numbers entirely in the logos these days because they're focusing on the city. This one blatantly says, I believe, Las Vegas on it, and that's what it's going to be.
It says WrestleMania forward. Vegas. It sucks.
WrestleMania Vegas. That's stupid. Next year, the WrestleMania logo has Riyadh emblazoned on it. So, I mean, this is the way it's going. There's not even any number that's generally mentioned with it these days. But yes, I do agree with you in general. The Roman numerals missing from WrestleMania is a bigger issue. Olympics, I never think of Olympiads with their Roman numerals, though. So that's really a Super Bowl and WrestleMania thing. At least it was for me.
Yeah, it's not in the logo, but it does pop up on the broadcast a lot. I'm like, oh, yeah. So seeing that and LX back-to-back just reminded me of a real missed opportunity here.
Now, normally, I would love to banter with you here at the start of the show, but as we just discussed briefly before hitting that record button, this is indeed a loaded episode. I mean, we have so much to discuss, not only from Raw and SmackDown, but just with WWE in totality. So as I usually say in the intro, I'm just going to kind of repeat it here a second time. We're not going to waste any time getting to it. The main event and the good, the bad, and the ugly, both of those are indeed coming up.
But I'm afraid I've got some news.
And there's a lot of WWE news to discuss here off the top of the show. Braun Breaker reportedly had sports hernia surgery last week after it flared up significantly, again reportedly during a spot on Raw, where he pushed over an announce table. PW Insider reports that Breaker had been dealing with this as an ongoing issue for an extended period, but that spot put it over the top. Then to open Raw on Monday night, WWE kayfabed it, saying he injured himself while training, which I suppose is not entirely untrue if it was indeed a lingering issue. Those with whom I spoke on Monday, they believe there's a legitimate chance Breaker is back on TV in March and able to build the WrestleMania storyline with Seth Rollins that we are all clearly expecting. It's not a certainty, though. It's all based on his actual recovery, and you can't put a timetable to that until you see how he progresses. Bronson Reed against Rollins, a tag team match. Those are obvious pivot options, especially if the theory, no pun intended, about Austin Theory being a mole for Rollins this entire time, if that plays out, easy 2-on-2 there. But this is obviously terrible timing again for WWE, even worse for Breaker, who was slated for a prominent WrestleMania match. And the vision just seems cursed. I mean, we talked about the women's tag team titles being cursed and Judgment Day for a period of time. Actually, even now being cursed. JD McDonough is injured, but the vision just seems straight up cursed. So I hope Breaker is back in 4 to 6 weeks. If he is, they'll have just enough time, probably a 3 to 4 week period where they can build for WrestleMania and he can just appear on TV, not get physical while simultaneously training, getting ready for the big show. But at this point, him being out of action and the recovery timetable being unknown because, again, it's an internal type of issue, it's just really shitty timing.
Yeah, obviously, sucks for him, sucks for what they've been trying to do. It's going to change. It's going to further change plans that were already changed because of the Seth Rollins injury. At this point, I'm almost like, don't rush any of these guys back, Seth and Braun. Like, maybe you do it the day after Mania. I guess if they're good by then, you use them in Mania. But whenever they're good, have Braun Breaker make a big, notable surprise return, and then have Seth Rollins make an immediate surprise return right after, like the Triple H Undertaker thing back in the day.
100%.
I think that'd be like a cool way to do it. So this story has been so just kind of hit by bad luck time and time again that don't need. Maybe it's time to just pivot to something else for a little bit and figure it out. But it's tough because they've really tried to do something here for almost a full year now, and hasn't been able to go according to plan.
Yeah, and I love the idea of back-to-back returns, especially given their timetables kind of line up. So you have, Paul Heyman in the ring with the Vision. Breaker comes out. They leave. He goes to cut a promo by himself. Rollins comes out. You book the match. 3 weeks later, you have the match. And then you just move, like you're saying, just move on. Like do the match, have it on the big show. Fans will care. And then just go away from it. And, chalk it up to something that you tried and it didn't work. And now you have to pivot and move on, because this will be a calendar year from WrestleMania when Heyman and Rollins joined together. And then the night after WrestleMania where Braun Breaker joined them and the Vision initially got created. And it had momentum, and then it lost it, and then it picked it back up again. And then Rollins got injured, and now Breaker's injured. And now you're just stuck with Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory, which, no offense to any of them, because all of them individually are solid. But as a group, that's not accomplishing anything. And
maybe throw Liv Morgan in there. She seems to be the fix to all sorts of woes to various factions. But basically, there's no need to maybe rush Seth if you felt like you had to rush him for Mania.
Yeah, if you're rushing both guys back, it's probably better not to do that and save it for Backlash. Even, I mean, look, it's going to be in Tampa, Florida. Silver King may be there, so I wouldn't hate that. But to your point, you could even have both of them return at WrestleMania. I don't know how you would do it. A segment in the ring of some kind, something that happens backstage then moves out to the ring. But if you want to kind of really get something together and not risk them, giving each of them an extra 3 to 4 weeks of recovery, and then having them appear at WrestleMania and maybe brawl in and around the ring to kind of set fire to their feud again and then build it from there onward. And look, it's a short track to SummerSlam. I'm not saying that's what I want both of them involved in all the way between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, but in theory, you might be able to get there. Either way, to your point, don't rush them back, but if it works out, then that would be great to have them both on the big show. Last week, I believe Silver King set an over-under of 4.5 Roman Reigns TV appearances between his last one and WrestleMania. And if memory serves, Vintage, you went under at 4 and I went over at 5, with both of us agreeing that 5 was the minimum acceptable amount of appearances.
I think I was over because I was going to be pissed if it was under. I don't remember what.
So maybe we're both over, but either way, the line was 4.5, right? And they're building to the night 2 main event, of course, Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Well, WWE on Monday, they announced that Reigns will indeed make 5 more appearances, all of them on Raw, starting March 2nd, the first show after Elimination Chamber. He will miss the next week after that, and then the penultimate Raw before Mania, but he will be on the go home, and then, of course, 5 shows in total. Considering Reigns is highly unlikely to get physical in a match between now and then, there's really only so much for him to do on TV and only so many things he can say to Punk. Among the locations he's going to appear, TD Garden, Madison Square Garden, so maybe they do one tag team match on those shows or something like that. But no real complaints here. More would have been better, but with Punk otherwise occupied through February with Finn Balor and everything we've talked about there, to me, this is more than acceptable. I see people complain because people complain about everything in wrestling these days. But 5 Roman Reigns appearances out of 7, I mean, that's the right number.
So the way you're phrasing it there, 5 out of 7.
After Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Right.
After Elimination Chamber. If I hate the idea that someone's going to be in the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania. It's just not there week to week. Like, credit to CM Punk that since he's come back, he's pretty much there every week.
Every week.
And that is why he is deserving of the championship that he has, and he has turned it into a good title reign. I'm also not surprised, though. The reason we thought they went so hard at each other last week was because we knew they weren't going to talk face-to-face for another month. And it turns out, yeah, that's the case. Every time we get around this period, and it's like, it often turns into everybody else on the card having to sell WrestleMania week to week is frustrating. We've gone over like a decade now of like whoever's in the main event of WrestleMania, they're not there all the time, which would have been crazy when I was growing up watching wrestling in the Attitude Era and stuff like that. And it's just, we're so far from that now. Look, 5 of the last 7 Raws going into Mania is fine and good. It's not having him for the next month that annoys me.
Yeah, I look at it from the standpoint of there's 3 Raws he's missing in February. That's not a lot. I mean, would it be nice if he was on 1 or 2? Yes, of course. More Roman Reigns is better for the product. It's better for the viewer. It's better for WWE. There's no question about that. But CM Punk does have a title match at Chamber, and you do need to build to that. And if Reigns is just there every week, we already know Punk's not losing the title. But if Reigns is also there every week, A, what's he doing? And B, you definitely know Punk is not losing the title because all you're doing is building Reigns and Punk aligned with Punk and Balor. So to me, it makes complete sense the way they're doing it. But would I, through selfishness, want more Roman Reigns? Of course I do.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. There was a report Monday that there is internal criticism in WWE toward Paul Levesque about changing plans on the road to WrestleMania. And I cannot stress enough how that is not only ridiculous, but extremely transparent, the reporting I'm talking about. The reasoning provided is that advances on attendance for WrestleMania are down, and somehow that is the fault of creative. Now, on this show, for the last 6-9 months especially, we have been critical of WWE creative. We have pointed out many times that it is nowhere near at the level it was in 2023 and 2024. 2025 was indeed a step down. And while creative could and probably does play some role in hype being lower for this show, let's be crystal clear about something. Attendance is down because WWE is charging out the ass for tickets while the economy is tanking. Also, WrestleMania is in the exact same city at the exact same venue it was in last year, so 2 years in a row, and this is in Las Vegas, what is becoming a dead tourist town that is hemorrhaging money, and it's in major trouble financially. That's why WrestleMania is going to be less attended this year than last year, because it's a repeat building at higher prices in a town people have already visited inside the last 12 months. Beyond that, when it comes to changing creative on the road to WrestleMania, blaming Levesque when Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker got injured, Liv Morgan was hurt for a while, Naomi got pregnant, Bianca Belair didn't return when scheduled at SummerSlam, that is the height of absurdity. And considering where the report came from, someone who's been wrong multiple times about supposed plans for WrestleMania, this just reeks to me of throwing bullshit at the wall. I saw people taking this report and running with it on Monday. Use some effing brain power. You want to know why there were 41,000 tickets out for WrestleMania last year at this time, and this year there's 37,000? And by the way, 4,000 is not that huge of a gap. It's because the tickets are more expensive. You're running the exact same venue. The economy is worse. And yes, also, as a contributing factor, creative is not at the level it was last year or even the year before that. But also, you have a ton of people injured, and your plans kept changing because of that. So I know that people using their brains and logical reasoning and actually thinking stuff through in 2026 seems to be something that is a tough ask. But when it comes to the road to WrestleMania and this show, it's something that I am requiring of our listenership.
Yes, we've made our issues with that before, but as was also mentioned on Unreal from Triple H, we're doing a lot more shows, and that makes creative tougher as well. And that's not necessarily Triple H scheduling more shows. You know, you have to schedule creative around that. And it's not just injuries that maybe don't make people available for Mania. It's injuries that then consistently change the creative or put the creative on pause. Kind of what Braun Breaker had been doing the last couple of weeks, feuding with Adam Pearce of all people.
Exactly.
So like there's some issues, but I'm not interested in this WrestleMania because not as interested because it doesn't feel as fresh because it's in the same spot.
Totally.
And like the location is always a big part of it. It was supposed to be in New Orleans, which would have been a fun place to go back to.
I would have been there. I would have been there. I don't know about you, but I would have been there.
The creative is so much lower on the reasons for a slight decrease in tickets. Yes.
And again, we're not saying creative is not to blame somewhat. And I'm telling you, as this episode progresses, Silver King is going to be tearing apart some of WWE's creative. There are things that really pissed me off this week from just a logistical standpoint and making sense of long-term storylines and whole divisions being pushed to the side. Like, there's things that are frustrating. But CM Punk Roman Reigns and the way that has been put together is solid. What you're getting from the men over on SmackDown is pretty damn good. The women's division is in a tough spot with both singles titles, but the tag team division has been built great. I'm not going to go bit by bit here. We're going to talk about it. But there's also still 10 weeks for this show. Plenty of matches that are going to get announced. Right now, there is one match confirmed for WrestleMania out of 14. Guess what? As you start putting matches with Rhea Ripley and Cody Rhodes and some of these other names on the card, people are going to start buying tickets. This WrestleMania will be less attended than last year. It'll probably be less attended by a decent number, I would say. Is that indicative? Hold on one second. Is that indicative of WWE's declining popularity? Not really. Is it indicative of the economy being dog shit, repeating the same venue, and all the other reasons we mentioned? Yeah, probably more than anything else. People are not looking to spend, I don't know, $10,000 for a family of 4 to fly to Vegas, stay there for 4 days, go to 2 nights of WrestleMania, and have decent seats. That's what's happening. That's the reality. Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
The other obvious big thing missing from last year is that we knew last year was John Cena's last WrestleMania.
Of course, John Cena factor. Totally.
He had announced that like a year prior. So, yeah, it's a little bit different this year. That is a gigantic factor.
And by the way, it's not just WrestleMania. Every show, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, like it was one after another of John Cena's last, not just match, appearance in certain cities. When WWE in, I don't know, October goes back to New Orleans, let's say for a Raw, if last year it was John Cena's last appearance in New Orleans, and you compare those ticket sales to this year, and WWE is down 1,500 tickets, well, guess who is not there? John Cena. I mean, A rising tide lifts all boats. And that's what John Cena did for WWE ticket sales in particular in 2025. But all right, enough time on that. I just wanted to make sure I got that out of the way. I saw that report. It just pissed me the hell off. Big E on Friday confirmed that he is retired from professional wrestling. He said he feels great. He's able to function normally. While he's grateful for the career that he put together, he feels thankful that he was able to perform for all the fans. He has moved on. And you know what? Good for him. If you know about E, you know mental health has been a big thing in his life. And this is actually not that dissimilar from what happened with Wade Barrett. Not injury related, but Wade got out of wrestling for a bit, decided he was done as an in-ring performer, even though he could still go. And then you have E, who's similarly great with the mic. He's been awesome on the panels. He would be excellent on commentary or whatever he wants to do. I hope he sticks with WWE long-term selfishly because I want Big E on my screen as much as possible. But if it can't happen in the ring and he's content with the career that he had, then you know what? Good for him. I'm glad we at least got that championship, even if it came the way it did.
Yes. And he does a good job on the pre-show and the various things he's been doing as well. So great dude. Glad he seems to be at peace with it. We all kind of figured this, I think.
Yeah.
But good to know for sure.
AJ Styles did what I can only describe as a dreadful interview with Stephanie McMahon for his first comments since retiring. Listening to her show, I swear, it is cruel and unusual punishment. And I'm someone who likes Stephanie, by the way. It remains frustrating that WWE keeps putting like notable news-making stuff on her show over the one Cody Rhodes does, because that one's actually entertaining to listen to. It's informative, and Cody is a solid interviewer. And for someone's retirement, talking to a peer who's going to ask real questions, it would have been far better. I digress. Styles was asked about not leaving his gloves in the ring, and basically he said that he doesn't know exactly why he did that, but maybe he would return to the ring one day if his kid becomes a wrestler. I'm only bringing this up to say that Styles' retirement has been strangely murky, and I don't even blame WWE for it. Their creative was crystal clear. This is on AJ. He's treating it like he was forced into retirement by some random third party, when in reality, this is his decision. Now, maybe it's some kayfabe 2.0 bullshit. Maybe it'll make sense one day why he's talking like this. But right now, it does not make sense. He's retired, but I don't know, maybe not everyone deserves a chance to come back. No, bro. You're the one saying your body hurts you and you're done wrestling. So be retired then, if that's what you're going to be.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it is on AJ or whoever. Like, I don't think he picked up the gloves and put them back on, without WWE knowing he was going to do that. So I think he's retired, but he's just leaving. He even said like everybody gets one, right? Like breaking retirement. So he's basically saying like, yeah, I'm done, but maybe one day I won't be, which is honestly, actually pretty honest for as far as wrestling retirement.
Sure.
Go.
Yeah. You can look at it that way.
Yeah. We'll see him with a shaved head in Saudi fighting the Brothers of Destruction in about 5 years, maybe.
With his hat popping off mid-match or whatever. Footage went around last week of the Street Profits at an NXT live event. Did you see this, by the way?
I did not.
So the only thing that I can say about it is both of these guys looked quite heavy. Angelo Dawkins has steadily gained from when he lost a bunch of weight. You'll remember he got real svelte for a while. Montez Ford was a shocker. Now, I can't speak to Dawkins. When it comes to Ford, there's two explanations. One is that he was injured or he let himself go while sidelined with his wife and out of action, not being used by WWE. The other, and this one makes a lot more sense to me, is that he's in the midst of cultivating mass ahead of a cut. In other words, he's overeating and increasing his protein, and then he's going to quickly cut weight and get defined muscle. We saw the exact same thing happen with Sheamus when he came back like a month earlier than originally scheduled. He was cultivating mass, but 4 weeks later, he was in the ring, cut, looking great. And that may be what's happening with Montez, especially if Ford is indeed about to return in a significant role. We've been speculating that before, especially when we saw that guy, what was it, scale the, I forget if it was the one who scaled the War Game structure or whatever. One of the masked men was clearly Ford, just based on the way they moved around the ring and stuff. And if he is part of this feud with the Vision and Seth Rollins and the whole thing, it would make a lot of sense for this to be the case where he's now working on NXT live events and he's getting back in shape and he's going to cut and so on. But I will tell you, this video, if you go and seek it out and look at it, it is shocking the way both of these guys look. When, again, Dawkins had lost a ton of weight and Ford has always had a really, cut body.
Yeah, I just watched a clip while you were talking. I mean, he's like leaning into and playing with the idea that he's overweight.
Oh, he is. He's sticking out his stomach a little bit. But I mean, you can still see it, but you can still see it, though. I mean, he's spilling out of his tights.
This isn't something I think he's trying to hide either. So this is like a house show NXT thing. I'm not putting any stock into this much of anything until we see them come back. I've mostly just been completely surprised at their usage over the last, 5 years.
It's unbelievable.
WWE.
Yeah. Really frustrating.
There's got to be some story about what happened with the Profits, from stops and starts as a tag team to breakups, not breakups, to
the Bobby Lashley
death
thing.
Of the Bobby Lashley, the death of the tag team division on SmackDown right as it got going. Like it's either just pure incompetence from creative in the tag team division, or I don't know. It's been so weird.
It's either that, a string of unfortunate events, or a combination of the two, which is certainly possible, where 3 bad things happened, but also creative is incompetent. And, but we're going to talk about the tag team division on this show. I can promise all of you that. Extremely odd to me, Chris, that WWE did not put Royce Keys, former Powerhouse Hobbs, on TV across 3 straight shows coming out of his debut at the Royal Rumble. I know Obafemi wrecked shit on Raw and SmackDown, and he's being heavily featured. But even if Keys was not going to appear live, which is okay, how did WWE not have a couple of vignettes at the ready to promote his signing with the company, tell his story, all to get us ready for him to actually debut full-time on TV? Tommaso Ciampa debuts in AEW. He wins a title on his second show, and I think he's appeared on 4 or 5 straight programs. You can argue that's heavy-handed. I'm not saying Keys needed to be shoved into every single show every week, but nothing at all across 3 shows, not a single video package, not a teaser. This is another own goal. It's a missed opportunity when it comes to creative taking advantage of momentum. He had momentum coming out of the Royal Rumble. Now, if you asked a fan attending one of these shows, hey, what do you think about Royce Keys? They're going to be like, who? They shouldn't be asking that question. You should have seen something from him on TV 3 shows in a row.
This has been a constant problem for WWE for the last couple of years, honestly, where you do something and you just don't have a follow-up at the ready. They did put I know this because I watched it. They did put a YouTube video up of a sort of behind the scenes thing with Royce Keys.
I watched that.
The Rumble.
It was good.
It was like 5 minutes or whatever, but like it was like all right. But
they could show a clip of that on TV. Just one clip of that. Him and Cody.
Yeah. I don't know either. I'd forgotten about him, honestly, until you just brought this up now.
Point made. We've also gone 2 weeks without follow-up from the Asuka Kairi Sane thing in the Royal Rumble. Now, it's possible they went back to Japan for vacation because WWE was already in Europe and the Middle East. But you know what? Footage of them in Japan with Asuka like shooing Kairi away from her, that would work. Something that you pre-tape after the Royal Rumble and you show it the following night on Raw, or 2 nights later, on Raw, because Royal Rumble's on a Saturday, of Asuka pushing Kairi away. We don't get to see that. Again, to your point, what you just said about Keys, WWE did post some golf cart footage of superstars being taken from gorilla position to the backstage area after getting eliminated in the Royal Rumble. And there was a hysterical bit with Asuka pushing Kairi out of the cart, not letting her take the cart. And Kairi had to run down behind the golf cart that had Asuka in it all the way to this backstage area. That was fantastic. We're seeing that on social media. We're not seeing that on television. So the exact same point as Keys.
Well, that one less so because, like, you know, we don't have to see them every week. They'll be back and we can continue it. The Royce Keys thing is just, the Royce Keys thing was a bigger momentum thing and to just completely not build on it. Like, Asuka and Kairi are fine. Royce Keys, you miss a moment, and that really hurts.
Well, Royce Keys, you don't even know who he is. Asuka and Kairi, They can pick up where they left off, and you're like, I wish they did it the 2 weeks after Rumble, but okay, at least they're doing it. Keys, it's like, who was that guy and where is he? And it's ridiculous. Yep. It seems like the new end time of Raw, by the way, is 10:22 p.m. Eastern. It's been extremely consistent over the last 2 months. There was something going around I saw about WWE and Netflix understanding there were too many ads in the show, so they decided to tail it back a little bit, and I have noticed that. But 8 minutes, which is the difference between 10:22 and 10:30, it's an entire segment. So it seems like they cut an ad break and they cut a segment from the show, which again for Raw already well down from 3 hours. I don't understand. The main event has started at 10 p.m. sharp across like 3 straight episodes. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, you don't want to do 3 hours, fine. But we've had this conversation so many times, Chris. Netflix does not have a static end time. So if you want one episode to go until 10:45 and another to go to 11, another to go to 10:22, that's okay. Why are we not taking advantage of the space that we have to utilize it for all the stories that we're trying to tell on the road to WrestleMania? 8 minutes on that show Monday night could have been used for the tag team division. 8 minutes could have been used for the Intercontinental Championship division. There's no challengers for that title. I don't understand what they're doing. Why are you cutting the show so short? And why are you not taking advantage of the platform that you're on?
Well, if they're cutting an ad break is about 2.5 minutes.
3 minutes.
To 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
So you're talking like 5 minutes of wrestling you're not having. What I don't understand, well, maybe a reason is like, if it's the top of the hour, do you want to start your main event at the top of the hour? Because the top of the hour is when people change the channel. It's like the same reason they always have big things
on TV.
Big things.
On TV,
yeah.
Yes. This is not TV.
That's true. I don't know. Like, I'd be very curious what that reason is. I don't mind if it's fewer ad breaks. That's fine with me. I'd much rather SmackDown be shorter.
Yeah,
because it's not as good. So, but it's becoming a pretty big divide between the two now.
It's real interesting. And let's speak to that, and then we'll get to the rest of the show. Raw this week for me, ups and downs, strikes and gutters. Definitely felt like an in-between show. Cleveland had a lot of asses in seats Monday night, but they just don't deliver as a crowd like other major cities. Charlotte on Friday kicked Cleveland's ass, but Charlotte is almost always a hot crowd for wrestling, especially WWE historically. But it made every part of SmackDown feel like it mattered, even parts that did not. And what interests me most here in 2026 so far is that Raw and SmackDown, they've been a lot closer to equal in terms of quality for different reasons, but again, close. The problem is that it's not SmackDown leveling all the way up to Raw's high level that it gave us for much of 2025. It's both shows kind of meeting somewhere in the middle. I don't know why that's the case, but here on the road to WrestleMania, especially starting this week onward, when you're building to Chamber and then you need to build to Mania, these shows badly need to heat up.
Well, the other issue with SmackDown that it needs is that it doesn't really have its number one contenders for titles, because you already have CM Punk announcing Roman. We'll get into Liv, but it feels like Liv is more likely to be the Raw thing. So
sure,
you kind of got to wait for Chamber to potentially get some of those guys and girls. So we'll see. But yeah, I thought both episodes were like okay, but obviously not what they were the week prior.
Completely agree with you on that. Now, we have a ton of show left, a lot to discuss from Raw and SmackDown, but I do need to remind you that here on Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Over head. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, exclusive news analysis posts every week as well. We have 2 new subscribers that joined up just last week. The first, Judd, who linked up with us for a full year, $50. And then Bruce Goat Pearl, which I disagree with in so many ways as a name, because Bruce Pearl ain't the GOAT in modern history, ain't the GOAT all time, and he ain't the GOAT over Todd Golden, who beat his ass last year in the Final Four on the way to winning the national championship with Florida. That said, we nevertheless appreciate your support, Bruce Goat Pearl, and Judd, certainly you as well. Thanks for linking up, joining buymeacoffee.com, getting all that additional content. We acknowledge you.
Acknowledge. Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
Now, as I said, we are going to talk all things WWE main roster, but I'm actually going to take a brief respite here and go over some notes from the AAA show on February 7th. And the only reason I'm doing this is because they're actually related to main roster storylines and characters. I do want to stress to everyone, this is a fun hour of wrestling. It is something perfect to put on in the background while you're doing stuff around the house. Most of the broadcast is in English. The trio of Corey Graves, JBL, and Rey Mysterio, it is far more entertaining than they have any right being, especially because They're taping in 3 separate locations, and they're doing it all via, I was going to say satellite, but via the internet, because it's, of course, 2026. But this show, like I said, it's 60 minutes. If you use a VPN, which we'll tell you about later, set your country to like Albania or another different country, no commercials. You can run right through the show in about 40 minutes. And you see some pretty fun wrestling along with interesting storylines involving tons of people that you know. So these are really, really quick notes from the AAA show. Dominic Mysterio opened. He cut a braggadocious promo. But what was particularly funny was Ray on commentary questioning his son's Spanish as he spoke. He's really good in the role, Ray is. He translates well for an English broadcast. And it's wild in kayfabe that he's commentary partners with JBL, considering how long they feuded and over what they feuded in WWE. They're setting up Dominic and Hijo del Vikingo for a mega title match in the latter's home of Puebla. That's going to be, I think, March 14th. And Vikingo also wants Dom's hair on the line, which is pretty interesting. Chelsea Green, we learned, was in a boot, unable to compete in a scheduled mixed tag team title match. So La Hiedra replaced her with Ethan Page. He was confused because he doesn't speak Spanish and didn't know why she was his partner all of a sudden. They lost the titles to Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana. Chelsea apparently hurt her foot on SmackDown, a really bad sprain. She posted photos of it, black and blue. Silver King has had that. She is going to be out of action for an extended period. I mean, we're looking at least a month, unless her rehab is incredible. So she should be back for WrestleMania if they have plans for her there. But on TV, you're not going to be seeing Chelsea wrestle anytime soon. Dominic backstage was angry at El Grande Americano, who he thought was his friend, from entering the Rey de Reyes tournament, trying to take the title off of him. It's like they're King of the Ring, but they get a number 1 contendership. The original Grande Americano then attacked Americano, handcuffing him to a pipe, and he stole his spot in the next Rey de Reyes 4-way, which was on this show. And what's interesting is that original wears blue and is the heel, whereas Americano wears green and is the face. So La Parka qualified for this last week. Original, Octagon Jr., Rey Fenix, and Dragon Lee were in this one. I assumed Dragon would win. I hoped for Phoenix. By the way, WWE main roster, they should let Phoenix wear his full lucha gear because he looked incredible in Mexico. The crowd was insanely hot for Original. They chanted for him to get out before the bell. It's a great chant for wrestling. Phoenix did a tope tornillo splash and posed like a G afterward. And I'm sitting there wondering, why is he not doing this on SmackDown? Dragon did a Styles Clash for AJ, and Original ultimately won with a loaded diving headbutt. A bunch of fun to watch. Americano chased Original out of the ring after the bell. The crowd was insane for both of them. And like I said, in totality, this was a fun-ass show to watch. The episode I saw last week didn't really hit home for me. But again, when you're only spending 40 minutes, if it's not great and you're doing something in the background, whether it's work or, whatever, it doesn't matter because it's just background noise. But if something cool happens and it pops up, you can pick your head up and watch it. So I do suggest watching the AAA product. I think you'll enjoy it, but you can tell me if you feel otherwise. It's completely fine. Chris didn't see it, so we're just going to steam right ahead, and we're going to cover everything that happened on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown this week. As always, we're kicking it off by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
Cody Rhodes attacked Drew McIntyre out of the crowd down the entrance ramp to open SmackDown, but it was only a brief brawl with McIntyre running into the post before they got pulled apart and Rhodes hit the ring for a fiery promo. Cody was angry about his Royal Rumble handiwork, saying Drew won't get him off his back out of his own design. Rhodes said he respected CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and while he's excited to see them fight, it's his name that has been on everyone's lips recently. And then he dropped this on our asses.
I heard that it was going to be a you-know-what measuring contest. Well, they're both glad I'm not in it because I didn't get the nickname Raheem for no reason. Charlotte, North Carolina, what do you want to talk about? Oh, yes, I love that.
Nothing else he said mattered after that line. What's funny is that Cody, in the middle of his promo, screamed, "What do you want to talk about?" like it was an exclamation rather than a question that he usually starts his promos with. Anyway, Rhodes said his discomfort will become McIntyre's downfall. He won't make it to WrestleMania. I'm not sure about that, Cody. Even if you win Elimination Chamber, you'd be fighting him at Mania. I digress. McIntyre re-entered to attempt his promo 90 minutes into the show. This time, he reached the ring, but was immediately attacked by Jacob Fatu, who hit him with a hip attack and a tope suicida. It took longer for officials to run down for the breakup this time. Fatu tore them apart one by one and hit McIntyre with a haymaker in the timekeeper's area, sending him scurrying through the crowd. Aldis gave Fatu the same talking to that he gave to Rhodes, saying if he wanted to fight McIntyre, he would need to qualify into the chamber next week. Jacob promised he would dog walk their asses. These were obviously repetitive, one after another, but that was the entire point. Jacob didn't get a promo, so there's not much to say about him. The focus is how Cody opened the show on fire with the crowd fully behind him. Even when there's an occasional dip in popularity, he has a remarkable way of bringing it back to a relative peak. Incredible in his promo is that Cody turned the Raheem internet meme into WWE canon. I'm not sure a white guy can win Black History Month, but through 6 days at the time SmackDown ended, Cody was the leader in the clubhouse after that line. Lacking logic at the end aside, this thing ruled, and Cody actually made me laugh out loud. It's one thing when wrestling makes you laugh. It's another when you open your mouth and make the verbal sound and can't stop doing it. That's how hard Cody Raheem Rhodes made me laugh on Friday night.
For people who don't understand the meme, this goes back to AEW. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
It goes back to AEW when Cody sort of tried to explain racism kind of to black people.
He was
about his daughter.
He was kind of explaining how he solved racism to a degree.
Yeah, about how Cody solved racism and because he has a biracial daughter because he's married to Brandy. And it was kind of a joke, but also it wasn't a positive thing. It was a white guy explaining racism type of thing. And so I saw some people reacting to Cody bringing that up when it's anyway, whether you just let me give you,
is
what it is.
Let me give you the thing. So it was tongue in cheek, of course Cody's explaining racism, eye roll type of thing, right? And calling him Cody Raheem Rhodes was part of that. And he also would get photoshopped into famous pictures of black historical figures, real super famous pictures of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc. But then as time has progressed since then, Cody does stand up for black people, obviously, because of his wife and daughter, and also just in general. And he is seen as someone who supports that community. So it took a life of a roll your eyes, kind of lightly mocking him in a somewhat lighthearted way, but hey, that was a pretty ridiculous promo, to, oh, Cody is kind of someone who supports this and, deserves praise for it, but we're still mocking him because it's funny. And now he's taken that and turned it on its head and said his nickname is Raheem, or his middle name, is Raheem, which of course is alluding to a certain stereotype about black men and, what would happen in a dick measuring contest.
I remember hearing Cody say he was uncertain how to feel about all of that before, but whatever. I thought in this promo, he spoke with the cadence of a Ric Flair. One of those exasperating yelling Ric Flair promos. You're not the same
close.
Voice.
You're really close.
But he had the cadence down. And I thought that was interesting as well. But it was, on Cody's part, started off with a lot of fire. We'll get into the Drew stuff, but they purposely, I think, tried to make Drew look more like he's kind of being dismissed after what had happened on Raw last week.
Yeah, I agree. You're really close saying he's similar to Flair there. He's really similar to Dusty Rhodes there. And the lisp came back too. And as he was speaking and he started losing some of his, I don't know how to put it. It's pretty obvious a lot of times when Cody's speaking, he's tamping down the lisp. He's doing what he can to not have it come through. When he gets fired up, he doesn't have the ability to do that. So you have the Dusty lisp with some of the Ric Flair mannerisms and speech patterns that you're talking about, and doing that in Charlotte of all places. No wonder the crowd responded the way it did. And then dropping the Raheem on their asses as part of that, just knocked it out of the park. So it was an awesome opening segment from Cody. It popped me so hard. I love that. Sami Zayn was depressed with his head down backstage, getting told by staffers that he'd get it done next time. Ray Phoenix then got in front of him, calling Zayn an inspiration for the locker room who cannot give up now. Trick Williams interrupted, talking his talk, comparing Sami to Charles Barkley, the guy who consistently gets into the playoffs but doesn't get the job done. Presumably, they will be fighting in a singles match next week, Phoenix and Trick. Sami didn't say a word the whole time. It's the right decision for his character, right direction, for his character. And people may hate me for saying it, But to really sell Zayn hitting rock bottom, he actually needs to completely miss WrestleMania for the second straight year. If the idea is for him to win a world title at a WrestleMania next year, you got to keep him out of the event and use that as part of his motivating force. I am such a disaster. I have missed the biggest show of the year 2 years in a row after main eventing with my best friend. And now I have one goal, and that is the World Heavyweight Championship. And over the next 12 months, I will do whatever I have to do in order to make that a reality. That's the storyline with Sami Zayn. And in order for that to work, he can't be in a mid-card title match or some tag team title bullshit or a mid-card feud singles match against, someone random like Sammy and Trick. I don't want to see that at WrestleMania. He should not be on the show. It's also nice that Phoenix has become a regular fixture again. He should be on Raw, but at least he's getting screen time on SmackDown.
I agree. I think we need Sammy to go away, and I think we need him to say he's going away and maybe even
lose his smile and go find himself.
Yeah, like John Cena retired, AJ retired. Maybe I'm done, and then he just walks away sad, and then we don't see him for months until something.
It's the move.
Maybe even the Rumble next year or something. I don't know, but if you're gonna do it, you got to really do it.
You do,
and be more than just sad backstage.
100% right. I love that idea. Maybe after Mania, he's like, "Wow, I didn't even make the Mania card. I need to reevaluate," and we don't see him again until the fall.
Have him go through a storyline into Mania about trying to get a match at Mania. He's got to win something to get a match or whatever, and he loses. And you think he's going to win because of course Sammy's going to have a match.
And that storyline is done every year. Oh, I don't have a match at Mania, and then they eventually get one. Have him fail. To your point,
yeah.
Have someone do that storyline and fail, and he can't get a title win. He can't get on Mania, and he's down in the dumps. And then, like you said, 4, 5, 6 months later, you hold him out, you bring him back in the fall, you ramp him up as a singles competitor again. He starts winning matches, he moves up the card, maybe wins a mid-card title, drops it like they had done with Roman Reigns however many years ago that was, 8-ish years ago. And then once he drops that title, boom, he's up and on a road toward main event status, winning Royal Rumble, going to WrestleMania. That's the move. We'll see if WWE does it. Anyway,
if you're gonna put him in a world championship spot, which
of course
possible.
I have to believe he's going to win the title on that show. I mean,
I don't know, probably at this point, I would say probably, but there's so many more interesting things going on in WWE than him. And you want to talk about going another year later? We'll see. We'll see if they can do it.
It's just interesting. They had him come out on the first Raw of the year, or maybe the second. And he made the comment very straightforward. He said, I am going to win a world championship this year. And he got the opportunity and lost right away. So if that's what you're doing, you're telling us that he's not going to win it this year. He's going to win it next year. That's the idea, but we will find out. McIntyre, that was SmackDown, not Raw, by the way. McIntyre entered a third time on SmackDown with a half hour left in the show, saying he's been trying to get something off his chest all night. He said Cody and Jacob, they should be barred, not allowed to be in the chamber match. And then he explained that anyone who faces him is going to get a similar fate as that experienced by Sami. McIntyre then addressed the comments from Roman Reigns and CM Punk on Raw, saying he was disappointed how insecure they both were talking about him, and then defending him by telling the truth. So basically, he explained what we explained on the podcast last week. He took offense to how they spoke about him, the title, and SmackDown, all as secondary, saying he went through hell to get the championship when the world was shut down. He never went part-time. He earned it through his blood, sweat, and tears, and he's carrying on a legacy of the great real men who held it before him. Then he focused on Reigns, saying without his Samoan army, he's obviously made the right call choosing Fragile Phil, one fall away from his career being over, rather than dealing with a Scottish psychopath who would kill him one-on-one. McIntyre mocked them for their expected aura farming match, saying he and the WWE title will be in the real main event of WrestleMania. As Drew was walking to the back, Trick got in his way, saying he's worrying about the wrong people, even referring to Cody as Raheem, which again popped the hell out of me, especially Trick saying that. And then he said McIntyre instead needs to be focused on the future of the business. Drew gave Trick respect for stepping up to him, but told him to walk before he runs or he'd stick his lemon pepper steppers up his ass. This promo was so necessary coming out of what happened on Raw. It would have hit a lot harder if it actually opened the show that McIntyre was so ferociously angry that he powered through a bunch of people and hit the ring and said all of this. Or if McIntyre was a babyface so the fans could have cheered along with everything that he was saying. As it stood, though, they were in this weird zone, Charlotte, where they backed him on some of his comments, despite Drew being a heel, but then they had no choice but to boo him because he was talking about baby faces they love. I did find myself wishing he was a bit louder, a bit angrier, particularly at the end, when he rightfully noted how Roman did take the easy way out from a physicality standpoint, especially given their history. But it was actually a great setup for a triple threat that is obviously not going to happen. But how intriguing it would be with those three guys, Punk, Reigns, and McIntyre. We talked about last year Rollins being in that position and all three guys hating each other. McIntyre hates both of those guys in kayfabe, and it would work extremely well. And then after all of that, Trick held his own with Drew just fine, and it gave McIntyre an opportunity to get another mic drop line at the end. So I liked the Cody segment. The Jacob segment hit. It was, what it needed to be. But McIntyre, for me, really brought it home, and he dropped the hammer on this show. Was it as strong or received as well as Punk and Reigns on Raw? No. But he did what he needed to do to kind of get some of his mojo back and take some shots at those guys who flamed him unnecessarily.
Yeah, I'm mixed. What he said was good and fine. I just didn't love having Cody and Fatu both further make him look like a punk before he got to do that. And so
did they make him look like a punk if they attacked him from behind, though?
Yes, they make him look like an idiot, especially getting attacked the second time. It's kind of like a joke. I legitimately laughed when it happened the second time because it felt like that's what you're going for, to repeat something like that.
The second time it was meant to elicit that. Oh my God, this guy can't get to the ring.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Drew eventually said what he needed to say, and it was good. I don't think it made up for what was said about him and the belt and the show coming in off of Roman Punk. And so no one's going to remember what Drew said in response. And so it was okay, but I'm surprised they opened the show the way they did, like that, to further, not literally bury him, but to kind of further push down Drew before he could even say what he wants. So I was kind of mixed on it. I thought it was just okay.
So I disagree with the comment that they were pushing him down. I just think he has pissed off those two guys so much, Cody especially, and he eliminated the guy from the Royal Rumble. It wasn't even in the match. That Cody should be vociferously angry, and he should be foaming at the mouth to get hands on Drew. So
he's done that 6 times though.
Yeah, I know. Dude, it's TV.
Let your heel champion look strong for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that would be preferable. I understood what they did though, and they did it different. They just tried to do something different on the show with the multiple attacks and then Drew standing on the table and being able to still cut his promo. Don't forget, this guy got attacked twice on the show, and he was still standing tall as champion, talking shit about not just the people that attacked him, but Roman Reigns and CM Punk. So you can look at it from the total other angle too. So I disagree with that contention from you. The part I do agree with is that what Drew said did not atone for what Roman and Punk said on Monday. If Roman and Punk took him down 10 points, let's say, Drew got back 7 of them. He still deducted 3. So he got some of the juice back, but not all.
There was no way to make up. There's no way to make up for all of it because
it's impossible.
Feuds to both those guys.
Because he lost to both guys. I mean, Reigns circumstantial, which is what he was explaining. It was the Samoans who kept beating him, not specifically Roman. But yes, he lost to both guys, and also it's Punk and Reigns both going at him together, teaming up 2-on-1. No matter what McIntyre said, unless you literally let him be unfiltered and curse and talk real shit and just break kayfabe to a degree. Unless you let him do that, he was not going to get back at them, especially with them not in front of him. And they weren't able to react to it. He was doing this all in a silo. So that's the area in which I agree with you. Real quick aside, Trick has gotten Lemon Peppa Steppas over with the quickness. The crowd literally said it with him during his promo. But what's really funny to me is how every white guy who refers to them drops the hard ER. McIntyre and Joe Tessitore on commentary.
You gotta be.
No, I'm being clear.
Don't take that line out of context.
I'm being clear. No, because you interrupted me. But McIntyre and Tess both said Trick Williams, lemon pepper steppers. No, I mean, yeah, does that rhyme still? It does. But the cool way to do it, the reason why it sounds cool and fans are attracted to it, is lemon pepper steppa. I mean, that's the point. So they're dropping the hard ER, and that's never the right thing to do. You jumped on my joke, and F you for that. So thanks a lot. Also, the triple threat chamber qualifier next week will be Raheem, Fatu, and Sammy. I presume Zayn is taking the fall to continue this rock bottom storyline. You cannot put Cody or Jacob in a match with Drew at Mania if neither of them wins the chamber. So at least one of them needs to be involved, if not both. Maybe the loser gets a second chance qualifier. I would book Jacob to win this match and chamber. He needs it more. Cody can sneak in, maybe challenge for the title at chamber, somehow get screwed over. They really should not run that match back again after 3 stages of hell in any way. To me, that would be insane. But that's what I would do. I would put Jacob in the chamber, have him win, and then Cody just A, deserves his rematch, and B, he's Cody Rhodes. He can figure out a way to get in a triple threat, screw Jacob over, screw Drew over, whatever. He's still going to get cheered. That's what I would do. What do you think?
I think Cody's winning this because they're not going to not have Cody on the card for Elimination Chamber. I just keep thinking back to last year about how they had to pull out the Rock stuff because they wanted to sell more for Elimination Chamber. And just simply not having Cody on the card, I think, maybe Jacob gets screwed out of this. Maybe something goes wrong and he has another way to get into a match if you go triple threat. I don't see any way Cody doesn't win this, I think.
The only thing I'll say is that was chamber in Toronto.
In a stadium.
Yeah, this is chamber in Chicago, which sells well on its own. CM Punk is going to be on the show. As we later learned, AJ Lee is going to be on the show. That's true. Right. They need to have the stars there and they need to sell tickets. I'm not saying Cody shouldn't be on the show.
I don't think they need to sell tickets now, actually, now that I think about it.
But I'm just saying, Cody needs to be on the show in some way. Yeah. But you know what? I could have him miss the chamber match and then put him on commentary for it or something like that. Like, you can figure out a way to get him on the show, have him feud with someone else for a couple weeks and just throw a match on there. There's ways to do it.
Well, depends what you think you're doing at Mania. Are you doing Cody, Jacob, Drew? Is that what you're thinking?
I still believe that triple threat is the move. I cannot imagine they're running McIntyre Rhodes again, one-on-one.
I'm just surprised that they put Cody and Fatu in the same match.
With Sammy, too. It's all 3 of the guys who have really been going after Drew recently.
It puts a lot of stakes on this qualifier match, to WWE's credit. I would have just assumed you're going to have Fatu and Cody both in the chamber, but
yeah,
maybe not.
By the way, as of January 28th, so we're talking about nearly 2 weeks ago, they had 13,000 tickets out, a setup of 15,000, and maximum seating is 19,000. And that includes seats, behind the setup of whatever it's going to be at Chamber. So they're selling pretty damn well. So they had 2,200 tickets available with a month to go for their current setup. So they're going to sell those. They're going to be over 15,000 for the show, on the way between 15 and 19,000 for Elimination Chamber. So they'll be okay. I'm not concerned about it. Now, that was the first half of the main event, which of course was the big stuff on SmackDown. Moving over to Raw. WWE kind of twisted up the walk-ins. They did a real fun bit where Punk came across a returning AJ Lee, only for Becky Lynch to come upon them and immediately become disgusted that AJ was back. She made an awesome facial expression, stormed out behind both of them. They never saw her. It was great. Bex then immediately charged to the ring to truly open the show, saying she can't take the continued disrespect. She was prepared to break down how she got screwed at the Royal Rumble, why WWE was so corrupt, only for AJ to interrupt as a thorn in her side. The pop was immense. Lee said she was not there for Lynch, but she was there to support Maxine Dupree, and she hasn't done anything to her except, beat her twice, cost her the title. So Becky broke down and got completely manic, hoping to get AJ out of her life with a match at Elimination Chamber. Lee did her whole shy, sarcastic thing and basically turned it into a title match, and Bex reluctantly agreed to that. I feel like this segment was much stronger on paper than it was executed with them in the middle of the ring. I'm not suggesting it was poor. In fact, they both played their parts incredibly well. But the problem was that it was 2 people simultaneously overacting against one another. Generally, you only want one side of a confrontation to be like that. It took the crowd a long time to fully grasp what exactly they were doing. In other words, there was no respite from the dramatics of the whole deal. Becky being manic with AJ speaking calm and normally, that would have been fine. But because AJ was trying so damn hard to be such a smartass and wind her up, Becky had to overact even further to show that she was getting angrier and angrier. I hope the way I'm explaining that makes sense. The fans did come alive for their heel and face portions, loudly jeering and cheering when appropriate. I just found myself wishing it was a bit clearer and smoother, but the way WWE started this in a non-verbal way backstage and then carried that into the ring, I thought that was super smart.
So I was annoyed that we reveal AJ is back via walk-in and then have her interrupt the segment like 3 minutes later. Like, what? Why? Like, this isn't a major return, obviously, so it's not the end of the world, but like, why not just have Becky do her thing and then AJ's music hits and we're like, oh, AJ's back. It's been several months since we saw her. And you gave it away in the walk-in. And I know the idea that she felt disrespected and that's you can do it another way, or just you don't need to. I was just surprised that they just gave away the AJ's back via walk-in. And then, like you said, they're back and forth. I got confused myself. I was like, wait, what is is there a match? Is there not a match? How did this go? So I was a bit confused by it all, but we ultimately ended in a perfectly fine spot.
Did the way I explained my issue with their back and forth, the verbal exchange, did the way I explained it make sense?
Yes.
My criticism? Okay. Because I wasn't positive if I was able to articulate it properly. It just, it was too much. You know, like there's that show, man, what's that show? I hate it so much. Was it Gilmore Girls where they talk really, really fast?
Yes, and they do. I that shows like that bother me so much.
Yeah. And that's why you probably won't like Letterkenny. But so that show, I think I saw half of an episode. It was like with a girlfriend in college. I was watching it and I had to leave the room because it was like impossible for me to enjoy the way they were going back and forth. This was not that, but it was similar from a issue I had with their cadence and the way they were trying to sell the story that they were telling us. And having Becky do what she did was great, but you need that across from a straight person. And if you're going to have AJ be her sarcastic, diminutive self where she kind of, puts her head down and tries to talk like this, then that needs to be across from a straight heel. And Becky was not a straight heel in this situation. So it just was not a great mesh of two characters, and they really need to think that through. What AJ does with that character, it was unique when she was a full-time performer because the other women in the company did not operate that way. And in many cases, no offense to them, a lot of them didn't really have the personalities and acting chops to tell stories that way. So AJ was a breath of fresh air whenever she was on television. Now there's so many women on this roster that are certainly way more talented than her in the ring, but equally, if not more talented than her on the mic as well, where when AJ kind of comes out and does that, and then again, it's against like the greatest of all time in Becky. It's not just me saying that. Getting Over has been saying that for years. It creates a messier segment than it needs to be. I've repeated myself too much. I just wanted to kind of get that across. Holding this match in Chicago, it does make sense, but I cannot imagine a scenario where these two are not fighting at WrestleMania as well. So I'm going to go into this in 2+ weeks, assuming either we get some type of bullshit finish with Becky retaining and a rematch happening 6 weeks later, or they switch the title and give it to AJ to pop Chicago, get the rematch, and Becky wins it because she's the full-timer back at WrestleMania. But I don't understand when you are doing that type of booking, let's say, if you're going to switch it twice, why you would have Lynch drop it to Maxine Dupree, win it back from Maxine, have that not be that great, and then flip it again twice more around WrestleMania because AJ is not going to work a full-time schedule. So, I'm not as excited for this match at Chamber as I would be or will be for this match at WrestleMania because it feels like it's just a stepping stone.
I do wonder, do you do this match and have AJ win to set up the photo of CM Punk and AJ both holding championships
in Chicago.
Yeah. Like you
Middle
make
of
that
the ring,
moment.
end of the show.
Spoiler alert for what's coming later. I don't think CM Punk's dropping the title in Elimination Chamber. And so like I could see that being part of it. And maybe AJ wins it. And then you do like a 4-way, 5-way or something at Mania. And that way you don't have to put it all on AJ to have a good match at Mania.
Well, you'd have to have Becky get her win back. What I think you could do.
But maybe Becky gets the win by beating Maxine or something like that, and AJ loses it without getting pinned.
What I think you could do instead is have Becky's run back to a title match be a big part of Raw for a couple of weeks. So you could do like a gauntlet, or you could do a mini tournament or something like that, where she has to beat a number of people in order to get another shot at AJ, because AJ had already beat her twice. And then if she beats her again here, that's going to be 3-0 that she is against Becky. But I got to tell you, Chris, less than a year ago, I want to say 6-ish months ago, we were screaming on the show with positivity that the Intercontinental Championship had been leveled up into the number one women's singles title in WWE. That's how great of a job Becky did with the Lyra feud, the Bayley feud, and all that stuff. And here we are now, and we're talking about it, and we're like, AJ Lee, Maxine Dupree, and Natty. It has really fallen off significantly. And I know it's partially because the women's tag team division has so much talent shoved into that right now, but this is kind of unacceptable.
It's the Intercontinental Championship, though. What's far more concerning is the Women's World Championships, which we will get into.
That's true. It's really the 4 women's singles title pictures that are at issue right now, though hopefully things will get better in the near future. Fingers crossed. Let's talk Maxine Dupree against Natty. Mentioned both of them a second ago. I do not believe we are talking about this in the main event either, just so everyone is clear. This was unexpected. Some entrance notes. Natty still got the Heart guitar riff at the start of her way to the ring. She is using her new music. It has a different dark aesthetic. She is full low-key legend now, so I am glad they're presenting her in that way. Dupree got her original solo entrance theme from back in like 2023 during the commercial break. It wasn't bad.
Oh.
It sounds like a ripoff of the All I Do Is Win intro, if you've ever heard that song. I believe there were some light lyrics. Unfortunately, her Titantron was unchanged. The gear was still super colorful. And the music did suck, even if it's at least not the American Alpha theme. So minor improvement. Alpha Academy theme, not American Alpha theme. I do that all the time. I still wish American Alpha could be back. Anyway, this match basically didn't happen. The bell rang. Natty dragged Maxine outside, beat her on the announce table for a double countout or no contest, and then locked her in a sharpshooter until AJ ran down and Natty released it. She helped, AJ did, a limping Maxine to the back, only for Becky to run out and shove AJ into the ring post. I didn't mind any of this. It certainly was not the best part of the show. And these 4 working in a feud, it's hardly my cup of tea when Lynch, as I just said, should be involved with much more talented women on the roster who have much higher ceilings. I mean, this is really bottom of the barrel when it comes to challengers, but Natty's gimmick is refreshing. I do like it. And if Becky AJ is planned for Mania, you're going to have to fill some TV time. The problem is that Maxine and Natty got no heat for what they did, and it proved what I've been saying for months. All the time they spent with Dupree was a total waste. This is space that should be utilized for Bayley, Lyra Valkyria, the Kabuki Warriors, whomever. And Natty can be involved in that as well. But Maxine is your lowest level wrestler on your roster. And featuring her to such a heavy degree continues to make no sense.
No, I was hoping this was going to be a Natty squash and we can be done with Maxine
in
the title picture, and Natty can be a built up, pretty solid heel who everybody kind of wants to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know Natty's been around, for a long time doing this, and Maxine is new, but like Natty can still go, I think, and giving her this new gimmick is really refreshing. So I don't know. I don't want Natty Maxine to go on and on and on. I was kind of hoping for something definitive, and we got the complete opposite of that. So, okay.
2 more weeks of it. You want to put Natty in the chamber, have her like beast up, and she'll lose, obviously, and maybe she gets 1 elimination and starts a different feud. Okay, like I'm fine with all of that. But yeah, this just cannot continue, and it cannot take TV time over some of the other people and storylines that are not getting long stretches. That's the biggest issue, and we'll talk about that in our next segment. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were commiserating in the Judgment Day clubhouse when Dominic Mysterio came in, selling his jaw from something that happened earlier in the show that we will discuss later in this show. Finn Balor was sulking in the corner, so Mysterio went over to him and told him, hey, man, pick your head up. JD McDonough is going to be back soon. You can go after the tag team titles. Your window for the world title is probably closed. Finn said that he was not done going after the World Heavyweight Championship, and he was sick of being seen as an afterthought. And when Dom said, hey, man, it looks like Roman Reigns is the one front and center as a challenger right now, Balor said, I thought we were family, and then walked away. Like, how could you not believe in me? We later learned that Balor was headed out to the ring. He stole the microphone away from Michael Cole, who was there set to introduce Punk for an interview segment. Balor said he was proud of hurting Punk 2 weeks ago, not about to step aside and let Reigns take advantage of his kill. Finn recalled the top rope act of God, but he just kind of alluded to it and didn't hammer home the point. I would have liked him to say, interesting how that happened and no one checked to see why, right, Adam Pearce? Just something to acknowledge that he got screwed. Not just that he got screwed, but how he got screwed. Anyway, he repeated that he won't be an afterthought, saying he's tired of being pushed off and around, and he wants a title match at Elimination Chamber. Just as Balor said it was time to return the favor and beat Punk on his home turf, Pearce came out with 3 security guards. Despite Balor having done nothing to necessitate muscle, Finn admonished Pearce for taking opportunities away from him, which let out Punk, saying that Balor is not an afterthought. In fact, he's the first thought in his head, but he simultaneously does not deserve a title match. He already got beat. What he deserves is to get his ass kicked. This resulted in Punk and Balor both yelling and trying to convince Pearce to make the match, with Punk even saying he would fight Finn that night in Cleveland. The crowd was super hyped for that prospect, as they should be, getting a title match unplanned. But Pearce refused to put the WrestleMania main event in jeopardy. After further arguing, especially from Punk,
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Pearce ultimately made the match for Chamber, which got boos despite fans remaining hot otherwise. Cole then asked, why would you jeopardize an epic WrestleMania main event for that? Punk said he's not jeopardizing anything. He's building and chasing greatness as the fighting champion the fans deserve. He paraphrased Eminem, saying he is what he says he is, the best in the world, and without risk comes no reward. Punk then said he doesn't believe Reigns hates him. He hates that he can't stop him because the only way WrestleMania ends is with him still World Heavyweight Champion. This feud is doing a lot for both guys. It's further establishing Punk as a fighting champion. It's elevating Balor back into a position where he's at least believable as a firm upper mid-carder, leveling up to a main event challenger. There's obviously no chance that Balor wins the title, especially in Chicago on the road to WrestleMania. And really, we all know Punk is a much bigger star than Balor. But it was still frustrating how Cole asked Punk, you're going to risk your main event for that? Like what? Yeah. Balor is a piece of shit or something?
Yep.
Hey, what does that even mean? Like you're a thing? What, like garbage or a piece of shit?
I mean, what the hell was that? Now look, we know Reigns Balor is not a worthy Night 2 main event because WWE has told us for years that Balor is not at that level with the way he's been booked. But in kayfabe, no one should be suggesting that, especially Michael Cole. The idea should be, wow, Punk is putting his title on the line for no reason. That's a huge risk that this babyface is taking. But if he loses, we would still get Reigns Balor at WrestleMania. That would be crazy because X, Y, and Z happened in the past. You should be selling the possibility, not shitting on the possibility. When you consider the backstage setup with Dominic and Finn feeling like the others don't have his back, the Intercontinental title booking as a babyface going into WrestleMania, that does feel legitimately possible. The back and forth around the ring went longer than necessary, but Balor did largely get the reactions he deserved. That was nice to see, and it was a solid enough kickoff point for the second phase of their feud. I wish Balor spent a little bit more time talking about the top rope, admonishing Reigns for holding him down. I get it. They're not the ones actually feuding here. I never really considered this home and home concept. Makes a lot of sense. Either way, this really worked. And I'm glad there's still 2 more weeks to build the match. Hopefully Balor is able to dig deeper into his storytelling bag because there is plenty of time. But this got it off real hot. The attack that we got from Balor a couple weeks ago was solid too. And I think they've done a real nice job building Punk and Balor with Reigns kind of standing there in the background as Thanos waiting for the winner to emerge out of this, even though we all know who will be the winner after this is over.
I think they've put in a good effort to make you want to take this seriously, which is admittedly tough. I do think though that like if we get more of them the next couple of weeks, we got to get more of Finn and reminding us who he is. And they did that with the vignettes a couple of weeks ago, but it's like more than that. And for all the, AJ Styles on the Stephanie podcast thing, Finn on Cody's podcast was a million times better and actually did rehabilitate the legend of Finn Balor in my mind. And I don't think they've used any clips from that. And some of it's weird because they talk about Bullet Club and stuff. But like, it's, I don't know. It can't be just Finn complaining every week. And this is fine. This is good. I'm interested. I didn't like Cole saying what he said for the reasons that you listed out. That was really my only problem with any of this. So like, they're trying. You just don't want it. You just don't want it to feel like Finn is whining his way into this match. It's fine now, but let's build him up to make him feel like a threat now before we get to the match.
Yeah, and it's possible Cole did not mean it the way it came across.
Sure.
In fact, I would say it's likely he did not mean it the way it came across. But he still said it that way. And he probably should have gone back to the desk and someone should have been in his ear saying, hey, Cole, you shit on, Balor as a character. He probably, when previewing the match later or maybe this coming week on Raw, he needs to do some like rehabilitation of, Finn Balor is he loves referring to him as an IWGP heavyweight champion, and talking about New Japan. Balor's a legitimate contender. He can definitely win this match. We might get Reigns and Balor at WrestleMania. Like, he's got to do something like that. And no one's going to remember this quip from this Monday, next Monday. But to me as a viewer, I just thought it was wholly unnecessary for him to do that. And if it wasn't purposeful, which I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't, they should have figured out a way to fix it. But I will give Punk credit too, because Balor's like, you think I'm an afterthought? He's like, no, you're not an afterthought. You're top of my mind, bro. And they've done a good job, Punk and Balor, putting Balor in a position where he seems like a threat, even though we know in reality he's not because of WrestleMania is coming up. Also, we joke sometimes about WWE listening to this show, but did we not 3 weeks ago say how ridiculous it is that WWE is on Netflix and it can be a PG product, yet still use some of these low-grade curse words? And what has happened, Chris, over the last 2 weeks? They've dropped bitch like 4 times, puta twice on Raw, and now 2 shits in as many weeks, one from Roman Reigns and one from CM Punk. This is nothing to get overly hyped up or excited about, of course, but the more natural speaking style is appreciated. And when Reigns said it and Punk said it, both times it did not feel forced at all.
Exactly. That's what it was. It wasn't like, you're a piece of shit. It was like Z Brothers or some shit. Like, they just kind of, you know that South Park episode from 25 years ago, when everybody in South Park is excited because there's this TV show that they watch in South Park that is going to say the word shit on television.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
And it was like a kind of like a meta type of thing because they were going to say it on South Park. And the way it's said is some guy goes, hey, you got a little shit on your mouth there. Like that. That was the way it was dropped. Like that's like, it's not obviously a joke like that, but that's a way to like make it just kind of flow in naturally and not build it up like some big.
Yeah. To your point, man, that was really shitty what they did to me. Normal sentence, right? You are a piece of shit. Like,
apologies to those listening with kids, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course there are kids listening, but the point made that when you accentuate it, like you're such a, sorry, we'll do it one more time. You're such a bitch. Like it's you're selling the curse word, not the promo. By just using the word within the promo, it's like, oh wow, this person's angry, agitated, and it feels real. And that's what happened here when Punk said shit. Reigns said it previously, and of course, the other words that we already talked about. Anyway, that is it for the main event, and we do have a lot more to talk about from Raw and SmackDown. But whether it's those shows, NXT, premium live events on Netflix, WWE content on YouTube, the Silver King and Vintage, we are all in with NordVPN. It is easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience no matter what show you watch, with the same high-quality streams, except they become commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like the United Kingdom, open Netflix and watch the show, or connect to like Albania and open YouTube. That's going to be crucial for Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania coming up, especially for those of you who have Comcast or YouTube TV. in the United States. NordVPN also allows you to get around online censorship and surveillance and protect your private data. Plus, one account can be used on 10 different devices. To get the best discount, go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there's no risk because Nord is a 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your WWE viewing, save some money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN at nordvpn.com/gettingover. It is great to have NordVPN as the official sponsor of your boys right here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Our original deal was through 2025. They've extended well past WrestleMania. It's awesome to have them here. And again, we only promote products on this show that we use and love, and both are true when it comes to NordVPN. With that said, plenty more happened from Raw and SmackDown this week, and we're about to grade all of it in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guys.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
The Vision Sans Breaker approached Pierce backstage with Paul Heyman sarcastically putting him over for pushing Breaker's buttons to the point that he popped a hernia while training. Pierce got in his face, saying he knows Breaker's the future of WWE and nothing he did was purposeful to hurt him. Then he threatened Heyman, demanding the Vision not get involved. After the rest of them left, Logan Paul got in Pierce's face with some of the most ferocity he has shown in his entire WWE career, demanding to know the other half of his threat. Bronson Reed pulled Logan off, saying Pierce was now his problem. This continues to work for me. I know people are completely out on the Vision, probably now more so with Breaker sidelined, but the Pierce and Heyman dynamics hit, and it was actually surprising to see Logan show some legitimate character for the first time. They're going to have a lot of work to do if this is going to go down without Breaker as something that is valuable television for the next 4 to 6 weeks, but I'm open-minded enough to see how it progresses from here. Good.
Light good for Logan, like you said. He was interesting here, and this is an opportunity for him to be the de facto leader of the group, if you will. I still don't care about the Pierce stuff. I still think it's below them, but look, things got weird because of Braun. That's fine. I'll still give this a good.
Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez opened hour 3 of SmackDown with Liv crowing about being the greatest, hottest, smartest, funniest, most charismatic, most talented, and most iconic woman in WWE history. She went over her options as the Royal Rumble winner, but said WrestleMania was not solely on her mind. She wanted to address a huge elephant in the room. Just as she was about to talk to Raquel about what happened at the Royal Rumble and the Raw after it, it was Rodriguez who took the mic from her, wanting the conversation on her own terms. And then Jade Cargill interrupted with nearly 100 days as champion and no title defenses to her name. Jade said she didn't care what Liv won, she would beat her ass at Mania. Then she got in Raquel's face, and Morgan laughed at her, saying she could easily choose Vicaire and let Rodriguez humble Cargill after Elimination Chamber. Jordan Grace was next out, saying Liv might need to choose her if Jade ever defends her title. Liv began ranting again, so Jade and Jordan simultaneously told her, "Shut up, bitch," which got a great pop and was indeed a great moment. Shout out to The Rock. Aldis immediately made a tag team match considering all the angst. So we had Cargill and Grace.
Oh, we got 2 big meaty men bumping me tonight.
Against Morgan and Rodriguez. So 3 of 4.
Big meaty men slapping me.
That's what we want to see here. In succession, Jade accidentally super kicked Jordan before Raquel accidentally landed a big boot on Liv. Unfortunately, Cargill and Rodriguez never touched, as Grace instead ran Raquel into Jade, rolling her up in a tight cover for the win. Raquel was the one who needed to lose given the storylines they're telling, and Jordan was the one who needed to win, so they got this right. Outside of the match being short, mostly due to the commercial break, I enjoyed both parts of this. Liv on her own addressing the elephant in the room was key, as was Jade cutting her best promo in months, even if that's not saying much. Jordan is clearly a level below all 3 of them on the mic, but I came out of this wondering, maybe even hoping, if there was any possibility we get a triple threat with Cargill, Grace, and Rodriguez. A first of its kind meaty bout.
There's a lot of beef out here.
That would be pretty sick if that's achievable. Good.
So Liv calls herself the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time. This is not true because we had the greatest Royal Rumble and a winner. Do you remember who won the greatest Royal Rumble?
Braun Strowman.
It was Braun Strowman. Do you know who he eliminated to win it?
The last person he eliminated?
Yes, the runner-up.
Give me one hint. Is it a big person or a small person? Or like a medium, regular person?
Big person.
Omos?
It was Big Cass.
Funny.
So, sorry, Liv, you are not the greatest Royal Rumble winner. That would be Braun Strowman. Overall, I did like this, though. Yes, spend some time and effort to make us think Liv may pick here. That works. I like the Jordan Grace, Jade part of it all. Like, it was the most interesting Jade and Jordan had been in a minute. So, overall, good.
It was the most interesting segment involving the WWE Women's Championship in months. And it wasn't a great segment, but it was a good one. And it was still the most interesting. Yes. By the way, when Liv was going, greatest, hottest, funniest, smartest, I legitimately believed in that moment Bianca Belair was about to return. It's the perfect setup. All the ESTs. And Charlotte's a town that's really hot for wrestling. She could have then entered the chamber on the back end. Did you have any inkling of that or no? I
did not think about it, but now that you say it, it's a great thought.
Because as she was doing it, she was like pausing. I'm the greatest, the hottest. I was like, oh shit, her music's about to hit. This is awesome. It just never happened. So
maybe that's it. Maybe it is a tease for something. I'm not sure where exactly it would fit or make sense, but
well, she could win the title and then Bianca could return and then,
that might be it.
Move into that for SummerSlam.
You have Liv saying that she's saying this and then she says it
after winning the title.
Adjectives about being champion, and then Bianca comes back. That's not a bad idea.
Could be. Maybe it's a tease. Maybe it's not. Cargill and Grace continued arguing backstage. Aldis decided they would compete for the championship next week. Would have preferred this being on Elimination Chamber, but with that being 3 weeks away, I guess it really wouldn't make sense to wait that long, considering Jade has yet to defend the title, and they have been feuding already for the better part of a month. Liv and Dominic then hit the ring on Raw, with Mysterio immediately cutting her off so he could hand her a dozen roses and a box of chocolates. Morgan said everyone is scared of her picking them, and then something strange happened, where they just went silent. Like they didn't know what else to say. Maybe one of them forgot their next line until Stephanie Vaquer's entrance hit, and it hit like an effing lightning bolt. Kane level fire out of nowhere, and an improved Titantron from last week, even if we're stuck with the new theme, and overall it's not as good as it was before. I will admit the theme sounded a little bit better this week, but it's still extremely basic with no lyrics. Vaquer said Morgan talks too much before getting into a Spanish promo battle with Mysterio. She said last week was a cheap trap, cheap just like Liv. Dom said no one talks to his girl like that, and she's going to be the best champion in the company when she takes the title away from Vaquer. That's what they said in Spanish. Again, I now use my Google Translate app, and it's fantastic. Back in English, Stephanie called Dom a little bitch, which got a great pop. So Liv said that she's not hot enough to wear her t-shirt. I'm not sure where Liv is looking to say something like that. There's suspension of disbelief, and then they're saying that Stephanie is not hot, which is like trying to tell us the sky is purple and water is orange. Vaquer dared her to make a choice. Morgan refused, calling her a puta, leading to the type of fiery rant from Stephanie that you have certainly heard before if you've ever had a Spanish-speaking girlfriend or really just known a Spanish woman. This was among Vaquer's best promo segments since joining WWE, especially the main roster. She didn't have to say that much, but it was such a benefit and such smart construction that she was able to speak Spanish fluidly against Dominic and then accentuate her points in English and then go wild ranting at Liv in the close where it didn't matter what she said at all. She was so natural and intriguing going toe-to-toe with them, it made me wonder whether she might get some male backing further down the road closer to the show. Outside of having to go back and figure out what she said, which was fine, it was just extra work for me, it's smart that WWE is playing to multiple audiences. This was a successful segment, and if this is indeed the start of their build to a WrestleMania match, well, you know what? That was a triple. They did a great job here.
Yeah, it was good. I was wondering if someone on commentary or in the ring was going to make a Bad Bunny halftime show joke when they were speaking Spanish, because it was the day after the Super Bowl.
Oh, funny.
I was thinking about. Yeah. But no, it was good. The Liv is right, by the way, that shirt is available on WWE Shop, both in a long and a cropped version. There is a men's and a women's version as well, so you can get a men's Hot Girls of Dominic Mysterio shirt if you
Are
want
you
to.
serious?
Yes, you can. $34.99.
I'm clicking. Yeah, I just clicked on it. I saw. I mean, I know there are
black
women.
and white versions.
There are women though who like wearing men's cut shirts, but that
Sure.
is funny though that they would sell that in a men's style.
Yes, but no, this was good. Fire, energy. I like it. Good stuff.
By the way, if you ever want to buy something from WWE Shop, use the link that is in our link tree in our social media profiles at Getting Overcast. You can use the same coupons on WWE Shop and Fanatics. You can get discounts and shipping and the whole 9 yards. The difference is we get a 10% cut, and that goes directly to our fund for, paying for our hosting and everything with the show. So visit our link tree, use WWE Shop link there. Also there is the link for our Slack channel, which is growing by the day. I mean, we keep adding members. It's pretty cool to see the conversation happening in there. You get to converse with all of our Getting Overheads. Silver King and Vintage were both active in the Slack. Again, the link tree in our social media profiles. Visit those. And yes, I am seeing the shirt right now, both the cropped version and the regular. And it's pretty cool they're selling it. It is funny. $35, the same amount for half a shirt and a full shirt.
It's also under Liv. I don't know if it's under Dominic.
No, it has Liv's logo on it too. It's a Liv shirt, not a Dominic shirt, which is pretty cool.
But I feel like if you're Dom, like you should be demanding a cut of the merch on that, right?
No, I mean, it's her. She brought it out in the first place, and they're capitalizing
I know,
on it.
but
So
man, it's about him though.
that's how it goes. Is anyone else realizing, by the way, that Liv and Raquel, and we've already briefly discussed this before, but they're almost fully formed now as Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Beyond the big sexy moniker for Rodriguez, the way Morgan talks about herself as the greatest ever, laughs in people's faces, mocks them, and especially acts like that when she has Raquel behind her. Then you have the way Raquel carries herself, super cool. Nothing really phases her, even though you assume something's going on in the background. I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's just a coincidence, but that's the vibe I'm getting. And it's to the point where I think I want to move off of the idea of them doing a triple threat of any kind at WrestleMania. I just think Liv's going to beat Stephanie for the title, and she's going to feud with Raquel on the back end once she's champion. Raquel turns face, takes the title from her. What do you think?
Well, yes. I mean, that's what we thought. I thought might happen going into Mania. Like we thought Raquel might win the title from Stephanie, Liv wins the Rumble, and then boom, you do that at Mania. I'm wondering now, right? Do you delay that for like SummerSlam and you do the turn going into, you do the breakup turn, whatever, going into that point and have Raquel maybe even help Liv win the title? Because obviously they love Stephanie Vicker. We know they like Stephanie Vicker and they want to push her. And in having her defend the title at Mania against Liv, probably they feel like elevates everybody more than doing a quick story to Liv and Raquel, and you can hold that.
Yeah, that does make sense. And I also just wanted to say before we move on, I really hope this Raw mid-card gets rebuilt after Chamber, because I know they're doing qualifiers right now, but there's got to be a string of challenges for Dominic Mysterio in the Intercontinental Championship. The fact that no one is like frothing at the mouth to get this title, when it's the IC title, Dominic's a heel, there's tons of baby faces, Penta, etc. I mean, it's wild to me. So they really got to put that together. One other quick note, just because it came across my feed and we talked about it already on the show. Royce Keys was at WWE headquarters this week. Quite possible he's taping stuff, perhaps for SmackDown, Raw, vignettes, whatever the case might be. Usually they send people up there to do some pre-tapes. So again, maybe that's what's happening, but they should have capitalized on it, as you and I both said, immediately after the Royal Rumble. Women's Tag Team Championships, Rio defending against Julia and Kiana James. Julia backstage said she would win Elimination Chamber and become a triple champion. These promos are not doing much for her, but at least she sounds kind of badass speaking in Japanese. She got solid heat mocking Io's emote because Sky was over as hell entering for this match. Ripley dominated James on her hot tag as Io ejected herself with a tope suicida so strong she almost overshot Julia completely. Kiana avoided Riptide, then pulled Io off the ropes for a powerbomb into Rhea. The heels combined for 401k and Arrivederci, but broke the fall, hitting Riptide and over the moonsault on Julia, the faces did, to retain the titles. Let me repeat that. The booking was for them to pin Julia, not Kiana. You know, the United States champion, not Kiana, who is nothing. The person with a title who is not regularly defending it. Completely nonsensical to do that when Io and Rhea are not in the singles title picture, let alone on this brand. And an unfortunately sour note on which to end a really fun tag team match. At least it was Sky and Ripley and her taking two finishers. They beat everyone, so it doesn't diminish her that much. Other than the finish, all four of them got great reactions. The crowd was super hyped throughout. The bout itself worked quite well, and it was a valuable segment to get heat on the heels considering how down in the dumps they had been. Kiana's arrow is really pointing up coming out of the Royal Rumble. And somewhat depressingly, this was the best WWE TV match of the entire week. Around a B+. Good.
It was a good match. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Everybody looked good. Surprised you pinned Julia for the reasons that you said. But everybody in this delivered. It also got me starting thinking, it's something that continued over the weekend of Raw and SmackDown, that WWE is right on the verge of maybe having too many belts. It's not quite AEW level, but when you have the AAA belts showing up, like Dominic has and Chelsea had, double champion is losing all meaning. And we had a chance for a double champion, or at least getting into a double champion thing here with Julia. And it was talked about with some other people as well that we'll get into, but a lot of belts going on in WWE right now.
It kind of feels like there should be one women's mid-card title and one men's tag team title, and you split them on shows depending on, what's going on.
Yeah.
Because you have two men's tag team titles, two women's mid-card titles, and the women's tag team titles, which again, the fact that they have elevated those so much over the last year, it's awesome. It's what we've always wanted for that division, but others are suffering because of it. And when you have to pick and choose one or the other, that means you have too many, to your point. Later backstage, Rio put over their challengers as legit, but said they're on the road to WrestleMania with no plans on dropping the titles anytime soon. There we learned that they will be in chamber qualifiers. Jax and Legend confronted them, Nia Jax and Lash Legend, saying they wanted to take their titles considering they have been ducking them. Liv and Raquel then walked by, smirking at the champions. Well, Nia, the reason you haven't gotten a title match yet is because you literally lost the number one contendership 2 weeks ago. It's not that hard to understand. I'm okay giving some flexibility to this division. If there's any division that needs it, it's the women's tag team division. Despite it being better built than ever, there are only so many teams. I don't mind the champions being in the chamber either, as long as neither of them wins. No grade here. I just wanted to tell you what happened backstage. The triple threat qualifier set for SmackDown next week is Alexa Bliss, Julia, and Zelina. It seems to telegraph Bliss, which would be the wrong move, and it makes even less sense to put Julia in this match after having her lose in the tag team bout for no reason. Zelina will take the fall, but Julia should be the winner over Bliss. What do you think?
I disagree because she has the U.S. Championship. I don't want double champion stuff. If you're U.S. champ, I don't want you near the World Championship. So I want Alexa to win.
Fair enough. Gunther backstage said he has no desire to talk about Dragon Lee. He's focused on his road to WrestleMania. Asked about his chamber qualifier next week, Gunther said that he should have already been set for Mania after taking Bill Goldberg out back and ending him. He compounded on that by referring to ending the careers of John Cena and AJ Styles, saying he would be the next WWE champion. For me, this was an extremely weak follow-up from last week. I recognize that Dragon may have been unavailable. He wrestled in Mexico on Saturday. But considering that WWE was on a roll with Gunther the last few weeks, this was another unnecessary cool-off. I'd rather him just not be on the show and put the time into someone else. Not the end of the world, but for the sake of this segment, it was bad.
Not only was it a waste of time, but he opens with that big goofy-ass smile and laugh that makes him look like a cartoon character. So it wasn't harmful or anything, but yeah, honestly, like you said, would have rather had nothing.
I felt the same way. I was leaving the smile comment to you because I knew you were going to say it. All right, let's get into the Elimination Chamber qualifiers, all triple threats. Tiffany Stratton, Lash Legend, and Chelsea Green. Stratton and Green had a tiff backstage with Chelsea leaning into her Chronicle gimmick now. Seemed like a concerted adjustment, but her entrance was unchanged. So perhaps they're just playing off her gear still. Green splashed the hell out of Stratton and Jax, only to get pump kicked over the announce table by Legend. During the break, Lash caught both women cold, which was quite a sight. Chelsea ate a superplex, rolled into some other type of weird suplex by Tiffy. Stratton then avoided Lash extension, but got her cartwheel countered into a buckle bomb and a chokeslam. Chelsea hit a coast-to-coast, knocking Lash into Tiffy, only to get pulled out by Nia, who knocked out Alba Fire, taking a shoulder tackle for her friend. Stratton then countered Unpretty Her into a rolling senton and landed prettiest moonsault ever to advance. So freaking predictable. WWE not capitalizing on Lash's big Royal Rumble run and instead just thrusting Tiffy right back to the top of the card. Equally predictable was Chelsea taking the fall given the other women involved, even though she was the MVP of this match. Even though the fans were hotter for her than the other two combined. There were a couple rough sequences for Stratton here. And while that's probably ring rust, her arrow, for me, it has been pointing down during her title reign and now subsequent to that. Plus, the crowd gave her no reaction whatsoever in the finish. Again, they wanted Chelsea. Tiffy still has a lot of growing to do in all facets of the job. She's still spamming Tiffy time too much. Nothing objectionable here. It was well put together, but either of the others, Lash or Chelsea, should have been the winner. Stratton here, it is mindless, poor booking. Light good because there was nothing at all wrong with it. They just made the wrong decision.
You mentioned it earlier, but this is where the Chelsea Green injury really sucks because he was the most over person in this match. I have that written down in my notes as well. And we were coming off of the Unreal stuff and the serious interview, and we felt like, are they trying to create a groundswell of support for Chelsea? And it seems like they were, but she loses this match and is injured. And it's like, God, man, you hope that's not the push that they were going to try to do with Chelsea, and then it doesn't happen. But I don't know. Also, they called it a coast to coast. It wasn't a coast to coast. It was like 3/4 of the way. It was more like a coast to the Midwest or something like that. If we're going from the West Coast.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. It was a coast to Midwest. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I did enjoy Tiffany's line in the pre-match promo about the Chelsea Chronicles, about obituaries. Good line. Shout out to print journalism. And it all was what it was. It was fine. Would have liked Chelsea to win. I agree with you that it feels like Tiffy for at least a year now has like hit a ceiling of some kind. And she just hasn't been able to take that next step, whatever that is. Honestly, what I think it is developing a character. She doesn't have a character. She's always been a caricature pretty much the whole time, which is why it worked better as a heel. But when you're the baby face and stuff like that, you got to like create some character and reason for people to get behind you. And there isn't that. And there hasn't been with her since she's been called up, which is why we've been surprised she's been a face for most of that time. Only last thing was randomly after this match, after the commercial, they show us the graphic that Lash had the most Rumble eliminations. I thought the timing of that was bizarre. I was like, she just lost the match. I don't care what she did in the Rumble, 2 weeks ago at this point.
Well, that's the problem. I was bothered that Chelsea didn't win. I was upset that Lash didn't win. Like, that was far more objectionable of the moves that they could have made here. You're either strapping a rocket to this woman or you're not. Why would you have her do all of that in the Rumble, then give her an opportunity to show out as a single here and put her in a match that would have been amazing as a way to showcase her talent, get a couple falls, then get eliminated and, just move on. And you're having her, she didn't take the L. She didn't get pinned here, but you're having her not win when she easily could have pinned Chelsea. And by the way, as a heel, Lash pinning Chelsea would have given Chelsea more babyface points, right? And they just go with Tiffy because it's Tiffy. And to your point, I loved what you just said, calling her a caricature rather than having a character.
Thank you.
Absolutely nailed it. That is exactly the problem. She has regressed somewhat in the ring, but as a character, she has made no strides whatsoever. It's like WWE saw her feud with Becky Lynch in NXT, which was incredible. The matches, the promo work, all of it. They crushed it. They saw that and they go, wow, she is 100% ready for the main roster. And they bring her up and it's a little tough sledding, but they figure, you know what? If we give her the title will make her rather than her making the title. And it just didn't work. And she goes away and there's a great opportunity, months, for them to refresh her character, have her speak a little different, have her not spam Tiffy time, just be something new and fresh, refocused. And it's just the same person that was, that left. Same person is back and just getting pushed to the moon for no reason whatsoever. So I don't get it, man. Hopefully they figure it out with her, but it continues to frustrate me when Tiffy gets pushed this way, especially when there's other women on this brand that, like Chelsea and like Lash, could really use these opportunities.
I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable. This fucking soundboard is...
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
So we had Randy Orton, Solo Sikoa, and Aleister Black and the other qualifier from SmackDown. Orton backstage put over his experience entering a 10th chamber before Black confronted him, alluding to John Cena and AJ Styles retiring, saying we were blessed to have at least one part of Orton still in the game. Sikoa couldn't find MFT backstage before walking to the ring. This main evented with Orton getting serenaded. It was a slow-ass match broken up by 2 commercial breaks. Orton landed a superplex. Solo followed with an Uso splash. Sikoa and Black combined for 3 drops into the announce table before Aleister got caught with a spinning solo. He ducked Samoan Spike, avoided an RKO, but Orton ducked Black Mass and hit an RKO, sending Black out of the ring. Sikoa positioned himself for the finish, stalking Randy, but Orton baited him, and by the time he stood up, it was clear he was playing possum, hitting a blind RKO for the expected win. As with the women, the winner and loser here were extremely predictable. I'm not sure Black needed to eat an RKO, but he also had no business being in the chamber match given his loss to Damian Priest. If Black had won that feud and continued getting elevated, then I would have been frustrated that he didn't win here. I would have loved to have seen Black over Orton. This really picked up over the final few minutes after the second break, and while it was not memorable at all, for the purposes of this segment, it was good.
Yeah, it was fine. We all knew Randy was going to win and be in the chamber. Not much more to really say than that, honestly.
WWE, they just have a problem. These qualifiers are all way too predictable. Like, we need fresh faces in these chamber matches. And not just like Trick Williams getting in because he's now getting pushed to the moon, but someone like a Penta or a Rey Fenix. Think about Montez Ford a couple years ago. How refreshing was it when he got into that match? We need a couple of those here, and maybe that will come. But so far, spoiler alert, through 4 qualifiers, we have 2 more to talk about. It's all predictable winners.
Well, we do have Cody Fatu coming up, and we're not sure where that one's going to go. So point to that.
True, but you said it's going to be Cody. And if you're right, then it's right along the same lines. Anyway, let's move over to Raw. Ripley, Lyra Valkyria, and Ivy Nile. All 3 got brief, relatively basic tape promos. Ivy's was actually the most interesting. I went into this hoping Lyra would win. Valkyria impressed early, taking a huge double German suplex bump and converting 2 big moves in the corner. She reversed La Magistral, and then all 3 women botched what was supposed to be an electric chair bulldog. Ivy then hit Rhea with a snap German, nearly throwing her body into Lyra. Real uncomfortable sequence of events there. Valkyria hit an assisted sliced bread DDT on Ripley. Nile countered Riptide into a backstabber. Rhea broke up Nightwing as a cover with a running knee and then immediately hit Lyra with Riptide to get the win. I'm super mixed on how to grade this one. All 3 of them flashed. It was constructed to be an excellent match, but it was seriously hampered by miscues, mostly from Rhea, actually. Still the best in-ring work on the entire episode of Raw. Ivy looked crazy good in certain sequences. Rhea's strength was such a standout compared to the other 2, but she seems to regularly forget how much weight and muscle she has cut. That's okay, it's her prerogative, but she either needs to get stronger or cut down on some of these deadlift type of moves that she's not able to execute anymore. Lyra had some awesome moments, but operated kind of slow. And then you have the finish with Ripley pinning Valkyria when Nile was right there. I get that it worked because Lyra hit a finisher and she was prone and capitalized upon. I still feel like she could have rolled out of the ring after eating Riptide, and Nile could have just taken the fall, maybe even in a prism trap. I'm giving this good, but it's nowhere as good as I hoped it would be. And while Rhea being in the chamber is completely unnecessary for her character, in terms of selling tickets to the show, I get it. I just don't understand why she and Lyra are not both qualifiers. I hope there's either a last chance scenario or the other 2 from Raw makes sense, because keeping Lyra out, if you put someone like Maxine or Natty in and Lyra's not there, Silver King's going to be pissed.
I mean, look, if we're being honest, like Lyra has been nothing for months in terms of her booking.
Right.
She is incredibly talented. We love her. Like, I was stunned that Rhea pinned her here. And honestly, most of commentary was spent building up Ivy Nile in terms of her being in this and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, too, like Ivy Nile, her hair looks incredible. Like, but she's gone to like a generic look. She used to have such a standout look when she was like the bulldog with the chains and all that stuff.
Totally.
And now she just looks like everybody else. And I'm still just surprised that, not that she wasn't doing anything on the main roster with the previous look, but
they've softened her, is what you're saying.
And I'm just really surprised. It makes her look way less unique when she had such a great look. this is, again, double champion possibility here, which I don't like. I don't like Rhea being in this match when she's a tag team champion. I know it's different because it's a tag team and not a singles, but like, do tag team stuff. You don't need to be around this either, but that's because we have too many titles that suddenly everybody with another title has to be in it because we're doing triple threat matches into a 6-person match, and you run out of people.
The other thing too is that they put everyone in the tag team division. They didn't just put Charlotte and Bliss and Rhea and Io. They put the Kabuki Warriors and Bayley and Lyra and Lash and Nia. So it's like every woman that's available on the roster is in this division. Now, I've said this on the show for years. The way to book the women's tag team division is to pair all the women up so they have partners when they're needed, but then they don't have to stay in those partnerships all the time. They can wrestle singles and do things on their own. But then when you need a new tag team to bubble up, they're ready to go. WWE has taken the first half of that, but they're not doing the second half. They put all the women together, but they just stuck them all in the tag team division and they said, this is what you're doing now. And they're not allowing the natural of Lyra being in this match and qualifying, even though she's simultaneously in a team with Bayley. And that was evidenced by a segment that happened during a commercial break that many of you missed. Lyra and Bayley got interviewed, and Valkyria was angry that she only gets interviewed whenever she loses. Bayley motivated her, saying this is not the end of the road to WrestleMania. She also has a qualifier next week with Natty and Asuka. Bayley commanded the promo, saying she was going to redeem herself for WrestleMania on behalf of both of them. She called them the best tag team in WWE, and she criticized Pierce for not giving them opportunities that they deserve. This was a bit messy and chaotic, but it got the point across. I'm still hopeful that it's Rio against Bayley and Lyra if it's 2-on-2, and if it's not a multi-team match, I do believe they're going to go multi-team. I'm giving this a light good. I wish Bayley got to show this fire and say these words on TV, but this is the way that you operate the team. Bayley saying, I have my solo goal that I'm going for, but also we're a tag team and we have that goal in our sights as well. That's how you got to do it. But again, you're not showing us that on the broadcast. And then the last qualifier, LA Knight, Penta, and Austin Theory. Knight got an extended promo ahead of the match, recounting all of his issues with the Vision. Penta and Theory later got to say a few words too. This main evented. Theory's entrance during the break looked great, but few of you got to see it again. Knight was the clear favorite.
It's a good song. I like his new entrance theme, and we barely ever get it on TV.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Knight was the clear favorite, even with Penta out there. He caught Theory rolling midair for a backdrop. Knight tried the box jump superplex, but Theory caught him underneath for a Tower of Doom. Knight avoided a stomp and hit the jump up elbow drop, only for the Vision to run out, with Reed completely squashing Knight ringside and then hitting a tsunami inside. The referee was distracted, but it's a no DQ match anyway, so it was totally fine. Theory then landed a stomp, but Penta pulled him out of the ring, only to take a back body drop onto the announce table. Suddenly, another hooded figure ran out of the ring, super kicking and stomping Theory before running into the crowd. That brought the Vision with him, running after him. Knight then won with BFT to advance. Huge pop there. Heyman was gobsmacked. The reality, for me, is that Penta should have won this match, considering the punishment the other two took. All he did was eat a backdrop into the table. But Knight qualifying was hardly a surprise. He certainly deserves to be in the chamber. It would have been a lot more interesting with Penta in the match. This gets a good. Theory was the MVP. He's been working real well since returning. His sell of the BFT might be the best that's ever been done for it. The Masked Man costing Theory here, it's a little bit confusing unless it's a misdirection. If the idea is that Rollins is donning the mask and hiding himself because he's not actually cleared, so WWE is using a stand-in, but it's supposed to be him the entire time with no extra backing, that is going to be pretty effing lame. It's clear Grayson Waller was under the mask here, mannerisms, just his body shape, all that. The only way the Masked Man stuff works is if Rollins returns with a group of his own to combat the Vision. That's an entirely wait and see scenario. I don't get worked up about the too many masked men deal like others do. The exception for me was Jacob doing it on SmackDown for no reason whatsoever. But again, when it comes to the Vision, you want to do the Masked Man storyline, it's fine. It just can't be Rollins this entire time. It has to be more than that. So the match, the winner, even the finish, the way it was constructed, I'm giving that a good. But I am apprehensive about what this is going to be in a month or 2 months.
I thought part of this was because everybody was saying it's Logan Paul. And because if you looked through it before the Rumble, people say you could see facial hair that would match Logan or something. Mm-hmm. And so you very clearly here respond with, it's not Logan, see, because Logan's chasing the hooded guy away. So I don't know who it is. I like that I don't know who it is. I like a good mystery, even if they're using different people as stand-ins. Whatever, that's fine.
Mhm.
It keeps the mystery going.
But do you agree with me that it can't just be Rollins, right? Like, it can't be Rollins as the masked man, and the person is only masked because Rollins isn't healthy, and they're using it to do it.
Probably not, but I like because we thought, oh, it's Theory. Theory's doing it for Seth because he's going to join them. Maybe it's Seth. I don't know. Like, I don't know where it could go. So, like, there's good opportunity here. They could mess it up for sure. I don't know. I don't really know what that will be. But not only was Theory's sell of the BFT great, his sell of the Stomp was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He is fantastic at that.
He's awesome, man.
And Penta pulling out Theory on the pin, perfectly timed. That's a 2.99. I thought Theory was going to get the 1, 2, 3 there. Penta out of frame, pulls him off. Great production and all that on that front. Really well done. And then LA Knight won, which I'm happy about because I like LA Knight. So that was all good.
Couple quick notes. Heyman was really funny interrupting commentary during the middle of the match. I'm not loving Theory's brooding, quiet heel gimmick. He needs to be the exact opposite, I think, to actually get over. Like, a cocky, arrogant, stupid asshole, Buff Bagwell, is a great example of what he could be. And I think it would mesh well with the group.
It's kind of what Logan is, though, is the problem.
But Logan's taking a serious turn, though. You notice that? Like, he's not being that anymore. So I think if you let Theory be goofy and Logan is serious and Bronson Reed is the muscle and then Breaker's Breaker, I think you have 4 unique characters there. But Theory doesn't stand out right now. And you need to do something to make him stand out. But I guess you can't really make him goofy if the thing with Rollins is indeed happening. He needs to be super serious. So we're just going to have to see how that's booked. Also, the average age of the men's chamber participants is 44 years old. There's only 2 so far, but it's 44 years old. Hopefully some young blood is put into this match. It's badly needed. And this just came to me out of curiosity. I want to know what you think. McIntyre, Knight for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Then you do Cody, Jacob in like a steel cage match instead of doing a triple threat for the title. To me, you book those 2 matches. They're fresher. You can actually put Knight over McIntyre. The promos would be great, and they have extended history with each other.
Oh, sign me up 10 times out of 10. Absolutely. I'd love it.
Yeah. By the way, Dominic is set for a chamber qualifier next week with Gunther and Javon Evans, who we will talk about in a little bit. It got me wondering why he and Julia are getting qualifiers, but seemingly Becky and Carmelo Hayes are not. Inconsistent if those 2 are not being given opportunities next week. Gunther, as far as I'm concerned, cannot win this. So if Javon pins Dominic, that could set up a different Intercontinental title match for WrestleMania. You could also just put Dominic in the match. That would be okay. What do you think?
Well, do we know if Dom is cleared to wrestle? Because he was hurt and he's been showing back up on TV for Liv.
In this match next week. So yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's true. I guess he is then. Yeah, I mean, Dom would be good, but technically another double champ thing. But get him back into like meaningful things.
All right. I think we've hit around 2 hours on this show, but we still have a lot to talk about. So let's just go through this as quickly as we can. And we're not going to rush anything, but we'll do a speed round here. Ilya Dragunov got into it backstage with The Miz, who said he went to Nick Aldis and filed for the U.S. Open Challenge. Carmelo Hayes came through and refused, considering Miz lost to Dragunov last week, saying it should obviously be Ilya getting the opportunity. So he would fight him in a non-title match instead. The lack of logic in this segment was astounding. It's an open challenge. Past results don't matter. It's not a number 1 contendership. Miz is entitled to a championship match as anyone else would be if he filled the open challenge slot. Strike 1. If it was a matter of who deserved it more, Aldis would not have given it to him. Strike 2. And then Hayes is able to just completely overrule the general manager. I guess I can buy that a bit because he's the one opening the challenge. But still, strike 3. Asinine stuff. They could have just booked a regular match. This was bad.
Yes, that was very convoluted. I guess if we're just grading this, that's a bad.
So then we had Hayes and Miz. Mello hit La Mystica and a gnarly tope con hero, landing hard on his tailbone. Miz got knees up to prevent a frog splash, then pulled a slingshot Liger bomb out of his ass. He caught first 48 and appeared to have countered into skull-crushing finale. But Mello had an even better rolling counter out of it, landing first 48 for the win. Exceptional finish to this match. Great match, too. No clue why this was not just a U.S. Open challenge, given Hayes won anyway. The shine is fully on Mello right now. It's great to see. Credit to Miz for showing out. This was good.
That was the coolest way I've ever seen somebody get out of a skull-crushing finale. So credit to Mello on the creativity for that. Yeah, that was good.
Tag team championship over on Raw. The Usos defending against Alpha Academy. The challengers came out with their same old music, wearing brand new 100% pure babe shirts, despite being called Alpha Academy and not Alpha Babes. They weren't even wearing the colors anymore. Maybe I'm the only person who cares about this, but it is so effing stupid. They have not just completely moved away from this gimmick and picked another name. Chris, it has been 2 years since they broke up. Otis botched some type of drop on Jimmy. Jay then completely mistimed a super kick that was supposed to interrupt the Caterpillar, basically missing Otis. Akira Tozawa hit 4 straight tope suicidas and even mocked Jay's encore gesture. He landed a huge flying senton on Jimmy for a 2.99 that was probably a 3. The Usos then hit a double spear, which was hilarious, and a 1D on Otis, which was impressive, to retain the titles. The faces all gave respect to one another, slapping hands, hugging after the bell, and Jay gave verbal respect to them too. It's crazy how consistently hot the crowd gets for Otis and Tozawa. They can be off TV for months, come back, and have fans in the palm of their hands immediately. The best thing I can say about this match is that Otis and Tozawa were legitimized through competition. If they remain on TV in this tag team division, great. If this is one and done for them back to catering, it's going to be a waste. Tozawa completely carried all 4 guys in the ring, which is crazy to say, despite the fact that he's very talented. The Usos were extremely poor and sloppy compared to their ceiling, what we know they can do. Their gear looks ridiculous, especially Jimmy. The finish with the double spear and the 1D, that did work quite well. It was the best thing they did in the entire match. I'm giving this an extreme light good because it was a hot segment that entertained, but the Usos need to get it together, man. They were rough as hell here.
Your point about the outfits, Jimmy's shirt, it's like a 1, but on the bottom is like a finger pointing, like we the ones, except for it's pointing down right to his crotch. I don't know what's going on with that shirt. I'll give it a good, it was entertaining. I'm like torn between, is the story here that we're like trying to build up the Raw tag team division so we can take all these people seriously? Or is it that the Usos are not on top of their game? I don't know.
I don't think that was a story.
It seemed like the former, that it's trying to build up other people, but after not treating Tozawa and Otis seriously for years, it's a weird thing to do too.
So let me speak to this tag team division, because I mentioned earlier that I was getting pretty heated about something. So after the match, the Usos got interviewed in the ring. Jimmy said they were focused on entering WrestleMania as champions. Great. But he wanted Jay to qualify for Elimination Chamber, win inside the structure, go to WrestleMania's main event, Jay, and win the WWE Championship.
Double champion, baby. It's never happened before.
What the hell was that? The last time we saw Jimmy, was he not bothered that Jay was being selfish again? Then he spends a month away from TV because WWE is in Europe. And now, despite them being champions, he wants Jay to focus, not on their titles, but on being a singles champion again. And what the hell happened to the Jay character who was hemming and hawing between working with his brother or being selfish like Roman told him he should be? It seemed like that went away. Then they brought it back. And now it's gone again. WWE has completely lost the plot with these guys. Yeet has run its course in terms of being an upper level gimmick. Jay had his moment, and they've just wasted the momentum. I am out on them. Making it worse, they put the straps on the Usos. We thought that was done so they could rebuild the division behind them. Instead, WWE basically told us in this segment, the tag team division is not important. Now, we know that's true, but they literally told us as much on TV right to our faces. Even if Jay loses the qualifier, and even if they defend the titles at WrestleMania, they told us in this segment that the titles don't matter. This was ugly.
That is one big pile of shit.
Yeah, that's, again, this is where the double champ thing came to mind. I was like, why are they talking about getting Jay into that? Do we not care about your tag team championship match you got going on? Yeah, I unfortunately agree that it seems like in the weeks since the Usos won the title that building up tag team division here is not a priority, where it remains not a priority on either show still, which is very disappointing. But again, it's like you run out of people when you have to put so many people into chamber matches, and it's like, well, we got to hype up the chamber match, and Jay, a former world champion's in it, so we'll do that. In it, at the expense of taking the tag team division.
They didn't have to mention that. They could have just put him in the match, and like they've done so many other times in qualifiers that he doesn't win, and it would have been totally fine. And by the way, if some of you are listening to this and you think you outsmarted me, right? You're going to say, wait a minute, Silver King, this is probably the booking because Naomi's pregnant and she's due in March or April. So Jimmy, he may need to take paternity leave around WrestleMania season. That is not a good excuse. Take the effing titles off the Usos if that is the case. The last month plus could have been a storyline where Jay had to fight two guys himself because Jimmy was absent. It could have been the Vision. It could have been Logan in theory. Then Jimmy returns. They put the titles on the line. They lose them. He goes away for paternity leave, comes back, and they win the straps back from whatever team took it from them. Instead, if it's because of Jimmy and Naomi, they've torpedoed the entire division because they're thinking one of the two guys is not going to be around for WrestleMania when all they had to do was tell a decent storyline and get the titles off of them.
Well, I mean, they haven't torpedoed it yet because no one's beaten them for the titles. That's if we
They've torpedoed it by saying these tag team titles don't matter to us.
They didn't.
Jay, focus on a singles title. And by the way, they took away both of their characters as well. That's how they've torpedoed it.
They didn't torpedo it because there was nothing there to begin with anyway, really. And
that's fair.
So, but you're right. Like, if Jimmy's going to go away for paternity leave, then like someone will have to beat them. I guess good that it's not Otis and Tozawa then, but I hope you have a plan for your tag team champions after that. I suspect that they may not.
What they told us on this show is that the plan is for Jay to work singles. That's the way I took it. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm over projecting and I'm getting worked up for no reason.
I think it was literally just hyping up the match.
We're going to find out. Let's see, not just next week, but the week out. If Jay loses and is not in Chamber, then I'm going to feel better about it. If Jay wins and the next 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever, is building him into Chamber, and then they come out of it and it's March and Naomi's about to have a baby, I don't know what they do with Jimmy. I mean, I understand he could be there for 1 week and then leave and wrestle, but I don't know, man. It's really tough to see the forest through the trees with this. And the tag team division really pisses me off. We're going to talk more about it in a second. Kit Wilson came out wearing a couple of pearl necklaces, calling all 30 men who competed in the Royal Rumble toxic for a variety of reasons, saying he's the true, real man of WWE because he trusts his emotions, moisturizes, listens, and moves his hips. I was out on this until he whispered, "Take me in," while he was gyrating. I laughed out loud. He called out anyone from the Rumble to face him, and of course it was Obafemi. I say of course because I actually expected Royce Keys at first. Fans were loudly, and I mean loudly, chanting Oba from the second he entered. So we had Femi and Wilson. Oba chopped Kit's soul out of his body, hitting 3 running European uppercuts, a toss slam, and fall from grace for the win in like 30, 40 seconds. He got serenaded again while posing like an F and G under a spotlight after the bell. This was better than the equivalent segment on Raw with the War Raiders. Would have liked someone to confront him afterward, but it's only week 1. And as an aside, Wade Barrett was incredible during this match. He had a great line about panicking being toxic. And then seconds later, he's like, all right, yeah, Kit, you should probably panic. Good.
Yeah, it was good. I like the line, "I am the tonic to the toxic." That's a good line from Kit Wilson. That's kind of the catchphrase or whatever. He's got the crowd with him. Like, he'll yell things and almost like it's like a what chant, but they'll say toxic, or he'll call things toxic and the crowd will respond toxic. So like they're like responding in a babyface type of way, even though he's a heel, but it's fun. And then the Oba entrance, you got some fans who are doing a double grunt because I think it was mistimed in Saudi Arabia. And now some people might think it's a double grunt. It's a single grunt with each beat. So you got to make sure they get that right.
They do. And that'll come in time. It's fine. One note on Wilson. It's not going to work if they don't add additional nuance and depth to it. Just saying toxic every single time, it's going to be gone in a month. You have to have another layer. And it's those other layers that you saw with, whether it's Goldust, Fandango, Fandango, or whomever, these funny R-Truth. If R-Truth's only part of his gimmick was visiting the wrong arenas or coming out at the wrong time on shows, or to your point, just spamming what's up, you would say, oh, okay, that was funny for a couple of weeks and now it's done. The reason R-Truth works is because he keeps adding different layers to his comedy. And that's what needs to happen with Kit. It's only been a couple of weeks, so I'm not going to be too harsh about it. I'm just saying it needs depth. And if it's going to stay surface level, it will not work in the medium term, let's say.
It is low card squash match gimmick. I'm not expecting it to get intricate at all.
No, but if you look at
it's fun.
But if you look at the equivalent of even like Max Caster in AEW when he was doing this like greatest of all time thing or whatever, I forgot what it was. It was just the same thing every single week. It was missionary position. And
yeah, but
you have to switch it up with a little bit of doggy style here and there is what I'm trying to say. That's it.
You know who the NXT champion is right now, though? Joe Hendry took a gimmick quite far that was pretty basic.
but that's not one note, though. He does different things. It's not just the appearing, it's the singing in the ring and the way he mocks people and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to explain with Kit Wilson.
I will say, he did turn like toxic, like backstage comments into a theme song, into
absolutely.
This, like, it's growing. It's not just a one note thing.
All I'm saying is the 3 segments we've seen with him in a mic, it's been the exact same thing every time. The
crowd has been crazy hot for it too.
And it will be for a short term, but if you want it to work for more than a couple months, I'm just saying it needs depth. That's all. Just a little.
Well, if he's going to keep losing squash matches too, then yes, it's not going to go anywhere.
That's all I'm saying. R-Truth was marking out about Femi backstage to Damian Priest when he got bumped by McIntyre. Priest said a single truly awful and awkward line to him about not needing to fight again, and Drew just walked past him. I don't know what has happened with Priest, but he seems to be growing less confident as a performer. Why would you even put him in this situation? Who did this benefit? I have no idea. Let me tell you what you need to do with Damian Priest. You got to turn him heel. Period. And then Wilson backstage blamed Matt Cardona, who was hanging with a returning Apollo Crews, saying that he was toxic and at fault for Wilson being angry. Crews looked great, but this was absolutely nothing. Oba got a vignette on Raw talking about people being scared of change despite it being inevitable. Femi said change isn't coming to WWE, it's already here. Quote, "You will hear my drums, you will see my strut, and you will know the deed is done because change is Oba Femi." Would have liked to see him on the show, but as a one-off video, I'll take it. Good enough.
I liked it overall, but change is a weird theme for Oba Femi. Like when you think of him and his character, he's not about change. He's about domination. That's the only thing. They really hemped on the word change, and I'm like, that's not intimidating. It should have been like destiny. Like I kept thinking Thanos in Infinity War when he goes like, destiny still arrives, and now I have, and all this kind of the opening of that movie. And like Thanos isn't there talking about change. He's talking about just owning you domination. And it was a weird note to continually harp on, but I still liked it.
We had Javon Evans and a mystery partner against Los Americanos. Evans got another commercial break interview, excited about getting a dub last week, unsure of what's happening with the El Grande Americano situation. He refused to spoil his partner's identity because he wanted to be a surprise for fans. Considering Javon had a match scheduled, this was much less problematic than in recent weeks, but the promo was basically him trying to get over 3 different catchphrases. It was real contrived. Evans needs to be himself out there. The chips will fall appropriately. I don't know if this was scripted or if this was him purposefully trying to get stuff over, but it just did not work as a promo. So I'm actually glad it happened during a commercial break. Javon's partner was original El Grande Americano, which cemented that the face-heel dynamics in the United States are the exact opposite of Mexico. Original gets cheered in America and jeered in Mexico. Grande gets booed in America and massive cheers in Mexico. Evans hit a turnaround twisting senton. Original landed a huge double German suplex, only to get shoved off the ropes by Grande. Javon then intercepted a flying headbutt from Bravo with an insanely perfect OG cutter from the opposite turnbuckle. But WWE changed to an overhead camera angle that was meant to provide a better visual. Instead, it was a total shock to the system for the viewer. And even worse, the audio did not line up with the video. So we actually got the move somewhat spoiled for us by like a second delay. Making it even worse than that is the camera angle was not used at any other point on the show or during the match. So it completely came out of nowhere. That said, it was a fantastic spot, and replays with the regular camera angle looked insane. Original landed a loaded flying headbutt and got the win. In the post-match, each tried removing the mask of the other before Los Americanos saved Grande. This is working, man. Fans are into the Americano on Americano violence. Javon being inserted into it, it seemed strange at first, but from an in-ring standpoint, having Evans work with 4 guys who can all go, it makes a lot of sense to showcase his skill. The long-standing question is whether this mask versus mask match happens at WrestleMania or a AAA show down the line. The storyline in these characters, they are much hotter in Mexico, but I cannot imagine WWE passing up on the chance to do mask versus mask at WrestleMania. Good match, great finish, flawed production as per usual with WWE these days, but overall it does get a good.
Good, interesting, exciting, crazy finish as much as production botched it. And I like that they're leaning into the mystery of who these people are. So hit every note. It was good.
Bo Dallas cut a rocking chair promo on Sikoa, saying he's scared of being left behind, stuck in the dark by himself. That's why he needs the lantern. He believes it will keep his family close. It sounded like the Wyatt Six might go after MFT one by one until Sikoa's left, and with Solo not able to find MFT before his qualifying match, as we discussed earlier, perhaps they got abducted or something like that. So he's proving that out. While these have generally hit and the storytelling makes perfect sense, this one did not really play for me. Bad.
Yes, it was kind of all over the place. Bad as well.
Shinsuke Nakamura fought Tama Tonga. It's crazy that Tama got a shit ton of fire pyro when way bigger stars than him get absolutely nothing as part of their entrances. Tonga draped Nakamura over the announce table, hit a flying elbow to his neck into the break, during which he hit a perfect swinging neck breaker, and then after which he did an inverted swinging neck breaker and a fairy tale ending. Shin answered with an inside-out suplex, but ate a cradle DDT after distraction, really nasty landing. MFT distracted and interfered as Nakamura set up for Kinshasa, allowing Tama to hit a standing cutthroat and then his regular cutthroat for the upset win. Tama looked absolutely massive in this match. He definitely stood out during certain parts. Tough to see this being the state of Shinsuke, but Tama is the one who needed the win, and Nakamura was heavily protected with massive interference. Good.
Yeah, good. Good for Tama. Low card stuff, but Tama looked great. Right guy got the win. Good.
Fraxium and Motor City Machine Guns were commiserating backstage when Candice LeRae interrupted their good times, showing that Johnny Gargano was laid out in desperation, basically planking, on an NXT road case after losing the mask that didn't belong to him. Fraxium walked away to get a match with MCMG made, and MCMG had no sympathy for the way Gargano was acting, given what he did to them previously and what he did to Axiom. Whatever Johnny is doing, I'm not grading that because who knows whether it's going to suck or be something interesting. If the NXT label is an indication, maybe he's going back down there to main event. I'm in, if so. But the return of Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, and the tag team division being shrug, I guess we should fight each other again, even though we're friends. That is as lazy as booking can be. Where have they been this whole time? Why are they itching to fight friends and not go after the titles, which have alternated between two heel teams? This was bad.
Also, is Johnny technically even in the tag team division? He lost the tag team partner.
Right.
Like you think about what Champ is doing over in AEW, and Gargano now is just like, man, like you can see why maybe Ciampa wanted to try something different.
Of course, yeah. What's your grade?
Bad.
And I'm going to end on this. And this is really just playing off of this with Fraxium and Motor City. And we talked about with the Usos before. There have been times in WWE where tag team wrestling is great. Other times where it's good. And then other times where it's bad. In 2026 WWE, for the men's division, it's worse than bad. It's irrelevant. You have the Usos, the Lucha Brothers in theory, New Day, Motor City Machine Guns, the Street Profits, and literally the best tag team on the planet right now in Fraxium. Those are 5 legitimate top-level teams. They're just not doing anything. And even worse, when it comes to Fraxium, these are 2 young, flippy guys who should be insanely over with fans. You saw it whenever they wrestled. It kept getting built up, and then they just didn't capitalize. You also have on your roster the War Raiders, who get good reactions once they get into the ring. Judgment Day, the Vision to a degree, Otis and Tozawa, sure, Los Americanos, who can go. Point being on all those names is that they can work, and they're so talented in the ring, they can serve as legitimate fodder for those top 5 teams. And sure, you also have MFT and Wyatt Six. So you have 15 men's tag teams, 15. Plenty for 2 divisions across Raw and SmackDown, both in terms of number and in terms of talent. And you have 5.5 hours of TV to fill each week, plus social media that you can use. Yet the only 2 teams that even have a storyline are the worst 2 of the bunch. Both divisions are dead as dog shit. And you know what? The TV product is worse off because they're not only keeping talented people off screen, but when every feud is one-on-one all the singles titles, all the singles divisions, all the one-on-one issues that people create with one another, it gets monotonous. As has been evidenced in the past, you can tell real stories with tag teams. WWE just seems either completely disinterested or unable to do so, at least when it comes to the men's division.
Well, you telling me the War Raiders losing 1-on-2 to Obafemi is a sign of taking the tag team division seriously? Like,
precisely.
This was one of my New Year's resolutions in our year recap episode. Was like, bring tag team wrestling back, and it wasn't just for WWE; it was also for AEW, which has been dreadful for a while. I don't get it. At a time, by the way, as we've said, the women's tag team division is super interesting. Like, you can do this, and they just choose not to. It's annoying as hell.
It's just baffling to me that you have 15 legitimate teams. Like, you've taken the time to cultivate the right people in the right spot.
Two sets of belts.
2 sets of belts. You can have 7 teams on one show, 8 teams on the other, pretty much equal time. And like I said, you don't just have main eventers, Usos, Lucha Brothers, New Day, MCMG, Profits, Fraxium. You have all the people who can get them over. LWO, Los Garza, The Vision, Otis and Tozawa even. Like, all these teams. And you're just not using them. You're not doing tag team matches. You're not telling tag team storylines. No one is frothing at the mouth to get these titles on either brand. And it's just unbelievable to me. I'm not saying that I expect tag team wrestling anywhere, let alone WWE, to be featured. But this shit main evented WrestleMania a couple of years ago. And you're telling me you can't create decently compelling storylines for both brands regarding these titles? I find that extremely hard to believe with all the time you have and all the resources you have. So yeah, I said we were going long on the show, but man, I had to get that off my chest, because when you're talking about the Profits and Fraxium and New Day, just we don't see them sometimes. Los Garza's disappeared. LWO guys are crazy entertaining when they show up. You have all this talent and you're not using it. And you're not putting it either in NXT, where the tag team division is dead. It's even deader than the main roster, you could argue. Put it over there, let them work, elevate some teams, teach some people, then bring them back to the main roster. So many things you could do. They're not doing any of it. I just had to get it off my chest. And if this show went a little bit long because of it, well, tough shit. And we said shit a lot on this episode. But Chris, that wraps up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Now we're going to be back on Thursday talking all things NXT and AEW. Might have some TNA wrestling notes on that show as well. We will see if the Silver King has time, but all of that's coming on Thursday. And then 1 week from now, same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be right back here talking all things WWE. On the way out, allow the Silver King to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
It's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. If you take a little extra time and leave a 5-star written review, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, when you subscribe there, you can listen to the show and you can watch full-length video interviews. And lastly, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
Hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Over head. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Again, that is buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. That is it for today. As I said, we will be back on Thursday for Vintage Chris Panini. This is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.